How's it going, everyone? And welcome to another episode of No Excuses on YouTube.com with your favorite show hosts, are still
Orion.
And Rosal, we're here to bring the latest news and commentary on the video games industry for the week, or at least the various traumas that it has caused to us over the course of the week.
The smouldering remains of the news, because it's been kind of a mess.
Yeah,
Yes, indeed.
Meanwhile,
there's one topic in particular that we're going to talk about. If you've been on the Discord, you already know what that is. I am not happy.
no,
He is
why
not happy. Yeah, he is proceeding through the stages of grief, but he keeps getting caught up on some of them. But if you'd like to get involved with the show, you can do so by sending us email at noexcusesvtw@gmail.com, or you can follow us on the Twitter at noexcusesvtw, or you can join us in our Discord server and see Ari mauling about the latest news. You can get there by clicking on the link that will be provided in the show description underneath the show archive on YouTube.
Yes,
I never liked the word molding. It's one of the Zoomerisms that didn't stick. Like, yeet's okay. Yeet's an okay Zoomerism.
I don't like yeet very much.
yeah, but it is at least what it sounds like. Meanwhile,
Yeah, I can ascribe an onomatopoeia sound effect to it.
yes. Meanwhile, there's a big ass crab on this balcony.
Right, so we'll talk about that more in my week, but I wanted to show him off.
Yes.
I finally beat the Harambe's. And the boss after the Harambe's. Although the Harambe's are harder than the boss.
Eddie.
So beat the floor 80 boss. The floor 70 and up is where you start getting the gold sacks. And I had 5 gold sacks to cash out at the end of that. So I cashed them out and got the crab.
Got really lucky, actually. You only got it out of 5.
Yeah, those are the first 5 golds I've ever cashed. I haven't got the dodo yet. I've cashed out who knows how many sacks from Heaven on High. Same with the Nightmare Pegasus. From the Platinum sacks and Palace of the Dead. Nope, none of those. But the crab, I got my first set of sacks.
Yes. Right. So before we get stuck into the weeks, we should grand tour
Oh, of the new house.
Of the yard.
Well, the yard.
of the yard.
So there's one secret thing in the yard. So we have Vaul put this stupid cooking thing here,
It's taking up space in my inventory.
and I didn't really know what to do with it, but I found a way to incorporate it into the yard by clipping it as close as I could in that wall without stuff sticking through, and shoving a patio underneath it.
Works.
Yeah, I think it looks like a proper barbecue, outdoor barbecue area now.
Yeah, although it seems to
Yeah.
snap to the ground rather than to the patios. Clippy weird.
Yeah, I need to fix the patio.
Yeah. Oh, if you
But
just the barbecue area.
yeah, I have to switch to mouse mode to do that though, and I'm not gonna.
You're not gonna do that.
Not right now. I'll put the retainer back.
I wanted a pizza oven, okay?
It is a pizza oven. Make delicious pizza. Made with,
Trying to move.
fish meal. Or life decision.
Given who the guildmaster is, fish is probably on the menu.
Yeah. Make Archon loaf pizza.
Yep. So I've only done the yard. We've done nothing inside. It still looks like a mess. Just stuff strewn everywhere.
Yeah.
Got the stepping stones lined up better. Got the mailbox up. Put these cool palm trees out here. The Moogle palm trees. They require some wackadoodle materials that you don't. I thought you could buy them with Koopa nuts, or whatever the Moogle currency is. No, you have to get specific like weird materials from treasure maps and submarine expeditions. So I just straight up bought those because I thought they looked cool out in the front. I recentered the otter fountain facing diagonally away from the thing. And where'd you guys go? I lost you.
Up.
I'm doing Heaven on High.
Yeah, we just did Heaven on High. It's fine.
It didn't take very long.
No, it was actually surprisingly quick. So,
Oh, that Heaven on High.
yeah, that one.
Yeah, so I kept the big FU Heaven on High like I have at my house because I just feel like we need to assert neighborhood dominance.
There is a filthy joke here we can make about, yeah, that's not.
I hit a little tree back here just because I didn't know what to do with this blank corner, and we had a couple budget left over.
Oh yeah.
So there's this super RP glowy tree just in the back of our property behind the house that
For reasons.
because you can. I recentered the aetheryte in the middle of the otter fountain to make it glow. And you saw us sitting on the little patio we put out here.
I'd go down and have a closer look, but that means I have to get down off the roof.
I tried like a billion different trees until I settled on the Lakeland trees for the normal trees I'm using out here. Because all the other trees' leaves either take up too much space or they're too short.
Yeah, like if you want, like at my place, you've got the big palm trees, but they tend to have very little footprint.
Yeah, I just wanted a normal ass tree, and the Lakeland trees were the best normal ass tree I could find. All the other ones had some weird issue. Yeah, so we do have an aether otter. Our aetherite is hidden inside the otter to make him glow.
The fact that you got it nicely centered, rotating ring.
Yeah, that involved not kosher to Yoshi means.
Just don't tell
coordinate
Yoshi
manually.
Okay.
Manually entering coordinates was involved.
Although, if the front page is to be Foxconn going to be coming around.
Yeah.
Actually, kind of tempted to enter that. Have the what's he call himself? The global community producer come to the house. I have to finish it first, though.
Yeah. I don't think my house is good enough for that, and it's blatantly... There are parts of it that are very blatantly helped by the add-on.
Yep.
So I do not want to incur the wrath.
Yeah, that and the whole stream's going to be in Japanese, and I don't have a hiragana keyboard.
Yeah.
Yeah, good luck with that. All right.
So,
let us dive weeks, and what are we going to do on the show? Going to go.
So we're going to continue. Yeah. Well, Harambe's aren't this floor set, but we are going to go into Eureka Orthos, and I'll invite both of you before I teleport, so you guys can teleport.
Please.
And I will walk y'all through the next floor set as we do our weeks, and then we'll go visit Harambe and probably wipe to Harambe's, and then we'll start over from floor 21.
Yeah, we'll do something. I don't know. Anywho,
we'll figure it out as we go.
We'll figure it out as we go. For weeks then, I did a few things this week. Been still chipping away at just various video games, mainly Elden Ring. I just did the Manor and the Academy all in one sitting. That was fun. For some reason, like the first time I did Moon Priestess or Diana, whatever her name is, I absolutely stomped her. Rani. No, not Rani. Rani's the witch.
Oh, Renala.
Nala, that's the one. Yeah, the first time I did it, I think I got moonbeamed to the face the very first time because it catches everyone, and then after that I stopped.
That's because she has zero poise, like, period.
Yeah. This time, because I'm doing it on stupid mode and doing everything to shields, she actually put up a fight this time. I got to see her phases. Yeah,
she actually is a multi-phase boss fight if you don't just run up and press the melee attack button.
Yeah. Until her animation though when she calls out the dragon is so you can't unlock her at that point.
Yep. So let us enter floor 71 or 61.
Yes.
Be sure you eat your food.
Food, huh?
Yeah, this could potentially be an absolute disaster.
Do I have any food? I've still got some pumpkin potage that will do.
Yeah, you.
Okay. That scholar to get
mimics
mugshot.
Burn. You have to interrupt these mobs.
They cannot be stunned.
Interrupt that. Yeah, they cannot be stunned anymore. They have to be interrupted. Furthermore, they hit like tanker trucks. Ooh. If you get aggro, they're going to be chonking you for 16k a hit.
Right. Mimic suddenly became a whole lot of bad news.
Why does it have so much health?
So this is the first thing about doing this floor. So are we going to get Matryoshka good? No.
Wait. Okay.
Okay.
I just wanted to make sure my interrupt was off cooldown before you did that.
Yeah, we have you to interrupt. Okay. The patrol for this floor is the Cobra. Do not go anywhere close to that room. The patrol for this floor is the Cobra. The Cobra has basically nothing as long as you don't stand behind it. It has it, and that. I won't mention obvious telegraphs that are relatively small and easy to dodge because these mobs will have way too many mechanics if I go through all those. But for mechanics to worry about, whip back if you're behind it. If anybody is behind it, for that matter, it will just crack its tail behind itself in a really, really fast cast and one-shot anybody behind it. And when it dies, it puts a Vaul on everybody, so you gotta let our health come back. These guys are the mob I was saying I need to talk about. These things cannot be multi-pulled with other mobs. Period. End. We got patrol coming. Pulled snake. The Diplocalicism. Why I told you not to go near that room is their proximity aggro. Oh, he's doing whip back.
None of us behind.
Yeah, Vaul was already running when he cast it. You can actually bait the whip back casts and just get them stuck in a loop, but if server latency ain't your friend, the cast is a bit too fast to rely on that. These stupid lizard things are proximity aggro. They also do peculiar light. This hurts if you get hit by it. It might just straight up kill you. I wouldn't know. The AoE is pretty big, but it has a pretty long cast. And if it hits any enemies, though, other enemies, if they're out of combat, they will get into combat. So they need to be pulled out of the room. And that for 3 minutes, that enemy will have a 70% chance to dodge every single attack thrown at it.
That sounds like cheating.
And they also hit like tanker trucks. This is where sustaining potions become necessary for the person with aggro. So this is the other thing that's going to stop us.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know if that one-shot you. I've never been hit by it. I'm not going to test it.
I'm going to assume it does.
Most things do. If not, it probably makes you take a gazillion extra damage. They'll make you die in the next auto attack or something. Yeah. These guys just kill them before their poison stack's too high. Thankfully, y'all's Aether pool is lower than mine, so I should have aggro on most things just because of my Aether pool level. So, that's about it for the first set of dudes on this floor. We should not have to worry too much about any of the other mobs. They're all just going to do basic telegraphs. Although the turtle telegraph is quite huge for a cone.
Oh, wait.
So, do not run through the center of the room. It is an insta-wipe if we get a luring trap with too many Dicloniuses in it and we don't have a witching ready to go. I can pull this guy by himself. Remember, I've soloed this floor set several times. So.
All right. Anyway, so jumping back to Elden Ring. Still having a lot of fun with it. It's still a very good game, and it's actually improved quite a lot since the other thing I did, which was upgrades.
Oh yay!
Yeah, gotta love them shiny. So a while ago I actually purchased an M2 drive, which things, but it turns out that my old motherboard didn't like it. But every assurance when I went looking to see is it compatible. Everything said yes, it was. No. It's every version of that M2 drive that was produced before a specific year. Produced after that year, then it don't work. And yes, a BIOS update could fix it, but stop doing it.
You can't download the BIOS from a third party and run it through third-party software?
Not for that motherboard. Yeah, everyone, because it was at that point it was a B350, and at that point everyone more.
Are the Gula Gulas this floor set or the next one? I think they're the next one.
and Ortho Ninja. This floor's patrol wide. Look at it, because it's coming straight for you.
Yes, it is proximity aggro. If you are less than 20% health at any point when you're in combat with these things, they will just kill you.
Oh joy!
They have a move that is like the PvP Ninja Deathlink. They are also proximity aggro. So if you see one coming, it's a priority pull.
Ninjas, if you...
Well, they're purple in a purple crystal area at least.
True.
And Naruto ninjas, they don't need to be invisible.
Or fluoro orange in the middle.
These guys are the free kills for this floor set. They're super easy. Just telegraphs. Nothing special.
If they're like the ones out in... So yeah, I found actually quite a good deal by instead of going for a 5600 processor, which is originally looked at, I could take one step back, go for a 5500, and do it for like a third of the cost. Yeah, my original processor starting this, a B350 motherboard with a 600, same number of cores. Yeah, old.
You are very lucky I had a lethargy going.
Probably safe, unless Mr. Server decided, no, screw you.
Which it does on the regular.
So yeah, it's been fun, and was able to put that new M2 drive to work. So got just 3-second boot.
Yeah, it's nice, ain't it?
Beautiful. You just press the button and the computer on.
Yeah, mine's a little bit longer than 3 seconds. I think it's like 5 seconds, but it's nice.
Yeah, might have to do scrub of drive anyway. Fresh install of everything at some point, because it's been a while since I did. And that'll coax a bit more speed out of it. But I'm running Elden Ring at 6 now, which is... Does still have the occasional hiccup, but that's just using to play nice with AMD hardware, which sometimes does.
It just has... It refuses to play nice with a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
It's not just a
game.
Yeah, Elden Ring is better than their other PC releases, believe it or not.
You're not setting the bar very high when you say that, though.
But I've heard the horror stories of Dark Souls 3 when it came out.
Yeah, that was their... I think that was their first endeavor in porting something to PC.
I think so, yeah. Right, go touch the Mimic.
Intuition.
I wanted to be wrong.
Not going to use it till we get to the next floor.
Yeah, it's been really nice. There's still, like I said, there's a few little hang-ups still getting, and that's just those still thinking it's hardware.
Yeah.
Which, yeah, it'll happen. And whoop, got a ninja behind us.
I see him. He's slow. When lethargies going, patrols are less worrying, especially the ninjas. If it was a snake, I'd be a little more worried just because of whipback, but we're not going to fall below whatever the health threshold is on these guys. Well, Vaul might. For some reason, he got aggro. Well, I know why he got aggro. Everything I had was on cooldown.
Sometime next week, though, I'm going to have... Oh, there he is.
Mimic.
I'm going to have the new challenge, which is taking my old boot SSD and putting that into my parents' computer.
Please interrupt that.
They're still on an old spinny drive. Their computer takes about 3 minutes to boot. Even though it actually had better hardware than what I started this. So,
okay, I'm gonna go grab the other
computer
mimic.
is an absolute mess.
You just think of them all as mimics now, do you?
Oh yeah, I just assume every single one's going to be a mimic. That's why I cleared that monitor first.
Yeah.
The one that I obviously didn't need to pull.
I fell into some Star Citizen joke made of mimic. Because apparently they put out a big patch for their game, and now basically everything you do in that game will reason. That includes sitting there. That's fun.
Oh, dearie me.
Chris Roberts, all the money in the world. Make a freaking game already.
Oh, he's making it just very slowly.
Very slowly.
He claims, anyway.
Hiring people. He's making jobs, I guess.
Oh, we gotta pull this thing. Hang on. I'm bring it around the corner.
The rest of my week, been keeping tabs of a couple of anime, although I have fallen off a little bit. The end of the season kind of wrapping up now. Mostly still tagging along with Vampire Dies in No Time. I didn't know
Pump
I
the
needed...
wall in these type of rooms,
Oh, yeah,
otherwise you will actually hit a trap every single time.
Yeah. Don't want to... yeah, I didn't know I really just needed something light and stupid to watch to kill some time, but yeah, sometimes you just... There it is, there's the
Taking it back in the hall. Did it just chew you twice and you died?
Yes. Just as I was reaching for the potion button. Alright.
The return beacon's too far away. Vaul, you want to get him?
I'll see if I've got one. I don't have a plume.
I got him. We'll get more Phoenix Downs.
What's the rate of...
Same as they always are. They just can't be mimics anymore, so they're safe to open whenever they're free. Although their rate of giving fragments is much higher, so we may not see as many Phoenix Downs. So yeah, you got you got a much better motherboard than the one I got.
Yeah.
We're gonna go in the exit. I got a 450. I got a 450 max.
Yeah, I grabbed it. Oh yeah, 450 max and a 550 not.
Yeah. The big thing with mine is it doesn't have Wi-Fi or anything. It's just a
I don't know
motherboard.
what the numbers mean.
Oh,
Here comes another one.
yeah, I saw that coming. That's okay.
I wasn't sure that the numbers actually meant anything.
They do. Anything below a 450 is completely incompatible with 5 processors.
All I know is that if it starts with a Z, then it's a fancy one, and if it starts with a B, then you're in the budget class.
Yeah.
What does
Odds are
mine
if
say?
it
The
starts
box is
with a
on the
Z,
shelf
you're
behind me.
probably getting ripped off.
Mine says B660 plus.
So yeah, and I think your Ryzen's only. Oh, we can.
Yeah, my Ryzen's only like a half old. It's a 6700.
Yeah, neither of you do anything.
Okay.
Don't.
Too many duplicaluses for your liking?
Yeah. So I'm gonna grab one of those.
Yep.
Sprint. Don't hit it.
What are you
I've already
doing?
forgotten what they do. He's gonna storm them and murderize them, I presume.
Yes.
Okay. In that case,
I'm doing a strong play.
get that right. But
I'm going to almost screw the Storm's play up because stepped on a luring trap, but I hate these donut rooms. If you do not Pump the wall. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead and pull the ninja. I've had health where it won't execute me.
Yeah, what was I saying? Yeah, so with GPUs at the moment, got the 4000 series for Nvidia, 7000 series AMD. You don't need either of them.
Yeah, they just seem like a bad deal all round.
Yeah.
Like this is a method of taking your money. It's not a method of giving you a better graphics card.
Right now, everything's being optimized with the 3060. As long as you got that, you're good.
Well, it's because it's the most popular graphics card. Well,
Exactly.
aside from the 1060.
Not the
Flip back.
1060. But, yeah, you don't need to go out for the... It probably won't be...
I can't imagine how these will come down in price for them to be like for normal people's use. It really seems to me like they've gotten so greedy and moved the price classes so far up that people are just going to not buy new graphics cards. It won't be a thing anymore.
Yeah, I
they'll
don't...
just the time will freeze on the 3000 series and nobody will buy anything after that.
Yeah, it might not be until the 5000 series, 5 series, start to see a new standard being...
I mean, they could change the way they do things with the 4060. They could make that a really solid budget option.
They could,
but I don't think they're going to. No, the CEO of Nvidia is a madman.
Yeah, and the same basically goes for the 7 series. They're super expensive because you do, but really you don't need them. I think on the AMD side, those who bothered opt 6500 might actually be 5700. Check. Yeah. Either way, you don't need to at all.
Yeah, there's literally no game that can take advantage of it.
Yeah.
Like,
well, there are some games that have sort of like gimmick modes that can. Like, I gather if you play Total War Warhammer 3.
Oh yeah, it does actually.
You can just jack the settings to the max, and you can use all of the power that the best graphics cards on the market can give you. It's not useful, but you can, turn your room into a sauna with the cooling if you'd like to do that.
Oh yes, GPU will hate you, but it will look fantastic.
Also, I think that probably a lot of that excess power is going to go towards things like AI processing and that in the future.
Surprise, we're kind of starting to hit the limits as to what you can.
Well, I'm talking about like the sort of the subroutines for like mob behavior and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like as game NPCs get cleverer and more procedurally generated. Oh, that thing! What's that thing gonna do?
Let's pull him out.
Yeah, he's not a nice guy.
Otherwise, he's gonna.
Yeah, and whenever you pull something in these floor sets, it's a good idea to just drag it back in the hall.
Oh yeah.
And you'll see me do that with pretty much every mob, so you have room to move. There will be one exception on the next set of floors.
All right. So yeah, would not be scrap surprised if you actually start seeing us gameplay.
Yeah, we're just kind of at a wall. That's going to take a while for graphics to come.
I think, and this is something that I've seen an idea that's been toyed around with, like the way things currently stand in the graphics card market. Nobody buys a graphics card for ray tracing unless money is already not an object, right? Because ray tracing is just utilized by so few different things. But at some point, provided that the graphics card industry doesn't actually start to crumble, every graphics card will be ray tracing.
Somebody gonna check the chest, see if it's a mimic.
Every card will be ray tracing capable, and at that point, the development logic will change, because a lot of the reason why ray tracing is not really a thing for most games is because simply most people aren't equipped with the ability to use it, so it's not a value add for most customers from a developer perspective, a publishing perspective. So it's entirely possible that you can accomplish pretty incredible things if ray tracing as a technology is leveraged properly, because at the moment there's a lot of overhead that's being wasted on just really inefficient lighting engines and that sort of thing. They're basically faking the sorts of things that ray tracing does with pure calculation. So once things are no longer being faked, there'll be a lot less sort of like inefficiency in coding, because you're no longer trying to just pretend like something looks the way it does. You are just able to brute force render it, and once everybody's got that type of raw power in their graphics chip, it's going to streamline the rendering pipeline a bit more.
These guys will do a untelegraphed, uncast barred frontal cone AoE if you're, and a tail whip as well if you're in front of them. Look for when they stop doing their base. Move.
What? Move where though?
Oh, just don't be in front of it. Doga gotcha.
You didn't say what to do, so there's no point in just saying move.
Yeah, when he rears back like that and raises his hand, he's tail whipping. He died. Okay. There is no cast bar. There is no telegraph on the ground. It is just their animations. They do a tail whip if you're behind them, and they will hit in a cone behind them, and they will do a raise their claw slowly and whack forward, and you just kind of got to watch the animation and get used to it. Fern,
okay,
don't...
They are telegraphed. It just doesn't draw a mark on the ground.
Yeah, I meant no ground telegraph.
Yeah.
So, Fern, these guys will shield themselves with a smoldering scales. Do not hit them with anything while these are up. Vulcan hit them. It only hits you back if you do physical damage, but it is lethal.
A for physical.
Get your finger hovering over your escape button.
Okay, here we go. Maybe Doga could. It can be stunned. Do not count on me stunning it.
Blow him up.
Doga's bro.
That's okay. I popped a Doga because we hit 3. Just get everybody out of the exit room. Since respawns are super slow, they'll probably stay dead. Oh, Doga's going to Doga on it.
Doga does work.
Okay, you can continue now. I was that particular patrol needed discussing. I forgot he exists.
Yeah. So what I was saying is that the advancement of graphics, I think, has sort of plateaued because there's a mismatch between what the technology is capable of, what people have, and what developers are actually utilizing. So I think that people are utilizing rasterization a great deal because it's economically viable. Every customer uses rasterization graphics. Not every customer uses ray tracing. In fact, very few do. But that's not going to remain the same way forever unless the the graphics card companies really screw the pooch quite badly.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, is entirely possible because that seems to be the sort of thing they do. But, yeah, so what it needs is there needs to be a critical number of users in the market who want ray tracing to make it economically viable for developers to actually develop for it. Because it's theoretically, once everybody's got that power, it's more efficient to do development in graphics for ray tracing than for rasterization. It's just that doing both is a waste of everybody's time.
Ah, shit. Fern, target the big glowy red thing, and as soon as you see its health bar disappear, start shooting it.
Right.
Let me get in max range before I do this. In fact, let me pop a potion first.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of the a product of the graphics arms race that we've kind of gone.
Yeah, well, the thing is that it's not like ray tracing is a useless thing. A lot of people have the perception that it's a useless thing because hardly anybody develops for it. But hardly anybody develops for it because hardly any customers have it.
Yes.
And once that changes, because it's going to get included in every graphics card from now on, once that changes and it becomes a more exploitable resource that a customer has, developers will start using it because it makes their workflow more efficient. It's like the whole, do we optimize for PC or do we optimize for console? Well, people are much happier to optimize for console because it's an easier job to do. The worst job to do is both.
Yes.
So at the moment, you've got to optimize your graphics development for both developing rasterization and ray tracing for everything if you want ray tracing in your game. So yeah, it's just not really a practical option right now, but eventually it will be. And so there is an advantage to the continuing crawl, but the sort of the uptake rate of that technology is very bad because the companies in question are just interested in the money they can make now.
I wouldn't be surprised though if you start seeing ray tracing compatibility. Not even as far out as the next generation of kind of mid-generation. Could potentially.
Yeah, the big sort of discrepancy really, I suppose, is that Nvidia have gone all in on ray tracing because it's sort of they were first to the punch. It's their technology in a way that they developed, whereas AMD have really been slow on the draw with that. Their ray tracing capabilities are really they are last generation, if that.
Yeah.
Compared to Nvidia's, and it's simply because they are making the economic decision that, well, we can't make money off of ray tracing. People already see Nvidia as synonymous with ray tracing, so the way we make money right now is simply by having the best rasterization options.
Oh, I got tail-whipped. There was nowhere. I was running into a thing.
Okay.
Witching him. Oh, we don't have a witching. Lethargy, if you have to. Oh, your butt. Yeah.
Oh, crap.
There is so much color on my screen when I'm casting that I can't see what the mob is doing. Like, the particle effects that are generated by a black mage are bonkers.
Yeah.
Can you pick... Vaul doesn't have a thing, and just pick me up, Fern. If you have to pick me up.
I do not have. Right.
Play really, really carefully. Pull one mob at a time.
Summon the Onion Knight. Summon the Onion Knight.
Yep, let's get Onion Knight in here.
Papa Steel.
Yep.
Onion Knight,
and
I choose you.
Probably a lot.
This could be interesting.
Okay, watch out for the ninja.
But we might as well go all in, so...
Don't hit him when he's got his spikes up. Yeah, don't hit him now. Escape, escape, escape.
Oh, it's a dot, is it?
Oh, that Onion Knight does?
No, yeah.
In fact, Fern, Papa Safety.
Actually, that's...
And then another crocodile's coming!
Papa Safety and Papa Dread.
Okay. Where's that?
Top left.
The pet is coming.
Dread is... Now, use the melee attack.
Go ham.
Don't use the ranged attack. It's not going to do anything. And just run around and bop stuff until that Commander of Return turns on. No, don't push that one. Yeah, there you go.
All right, there we go.
And Onion Knight should heal you if there's an emergency.
Still not lit up. Still not lit up.
Yeah, look. Prioritize dudes. You
dudes.
can't interact with it.
Yeah, you can't do anything except kill dudes, so ignore everything else.
Yes.
You got 20 seconds. You should be able to catch a few.
Yes, it lit up.
Nice.
Now you need to get. Now you need to get us safely back into the land of the living.
And boof. Well, that was a disaster.
Yes, that can happen at any time if you have a lapse in judgment like I did.
It didn't occur to me until it was too late that I actually can't see anything while I'm casting.
Yep. You might want to turn that bloom down at some.
No, it's just that the graphical effect for Paradox is very, very loud.
I see.
Like most of them are all right, but Paradox is particularly loud.
Yeah, when me and Abo were doing our relic weapon grinding, I guess I don't have to run around the edge of the arena since
Safety's been.
so he would time his attacks on Ninja when I was doing Black Mage with him, and we were doing Good King Mogulmog, because you only got one GCD to hit him, and you need to hit him at the exact same time. I'm going to try and get this without...
Okay. Cool.
Yeah. Just retreat. Time his attacks, and the way he timed his attacks was by looking at when I hit the thing that gives you a polyglot.
Right.
Because it's so bright and flashy.
This is why, by the way, you turn graphics effects down in raids. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to see what the boss is doing.
Well, everybody else's are fine. And in raids, it's usually fine because relative to the mob size, the effect is not that large. But these are regular mobs that are, more dangerous than most bosses, so...
They have a double knockback. So, but we have an Onion Knight.
Yeah, under controlled circumstances, Onion Knight is just bullying.
Yeah, him's good. Really good. Alright, so yeah, anyway, with all of that, basically I don't have the salt to dish out like you guys do this week.
And
I've
I'm
actually got
saving
fairly
mine for
happy
news
news.
time.
I got shinies.
Yay, new PC.
I'm actually amazed that I got it. Like, I only spent $300 to do that full upgrade. Yeah, PC prices in Australia, by the way, are kind of out of whack. If you rely on Umart, they tend to include a lot of import fees on their prices. But yes, they are the big door-to-door deliverer of PC parts, but expensive ones. If you want good PC parts, and I'm going to sing these guys' praises all day, is PC Gaze. Go to them. I even threw them an extra $10. They did all the BIOS updates.
Yeah, I mean, especially since they're the ones that will be liable if something goes wrong. Because the thing with BIOS updates is sometimes things just go wrong.
And there seems to be no rhyme or reason behind it.
Yeah, if you are just an unlucky person, well,
given how reliable the power has been here lately, I'm reluctant to BIOS updates because power cuts out halfway through. That's your PC bricked.
Yeah, and that's unrecoverable bricked. That
is brick.
You can't get any more bricked.
Yeah, that is.
These sneaky dudes by the exit over here. If everybody is in melee range, they don't do anything at all.
Hug the danger.
Except hit really hard. If anybody is out of melee range, they will do a more than room-wide donut AoE that will one-shot. Like everything.
Hug the danger noodle. Yeah.
I don't have my cooldowns.
If you want to go PC parts in Australia, you go to the small guys. Got Newegg, which is all import, and you've got Umart, which is mostly import. But because I kind of came across this upgrade when I was poking around. I saw Umart was having a sale, so I had a look. And when PC Case Gear is having the same sale, but they're even cheaper over there.
The Horde is over here.
Okay, I can probably get this. I might get a... No, we're good.
That's my advice. Always go to the little guy.
Newegg has an absolutely awful reputation.
Newegg's
they used to be.
Newegg has not been good for like 2 decades.
Vaul, you're out of melee.
Yeah, Newegg. I think I bought from Newegg once in a month for.
Yeah, they have never had a good overseas reputation because their crap takes so long to.
Well, their
ship.
reputation is complete trash in America as well because they're so famous for scamming people.
Yeah, and they've gotten please no trap, please no trap, please no trap.
Yeah. Okay, good.
Like it's not like as an organization they scam people, but they so often will like will sell like refurbished stuff as new and that sort of thing because some local person has decided that they can make a quick buck.
Yeah.
The other one I've seen that is like they'll show a really good deal of like bundle deals between like processor, motherboard, and RAM.
They won't be compatible at all.
Yeah, there is no guarantee that they will be compatible.
Yeah, Newegg's famous for that, selling package deals that simply don't work.
Yeah, which normally you go to a PC seller and if they're offering something as a package deal, it makes sense that you could guarantee that they're compatible. Otherwise,
but if they don't
point?
say that, if they don't say that it's guaranteed they're compatible, then it won't be. So,
yeah. At least on Newegg's case, everyone else you can be safe that they'll be compatible. Mostly.
These guys will do a pull-in on somebody, and they would do a very, very fast point-blank melee AoE. Right. If you are pulled, run immediately.
Run where?
Away from them. No,
just run away.
You need to specify. It's very important that you specify. How did I die? I'm at the same distance as Fern.
Server did not like you because you were right next to me.
Rain. Oh, was that not a tongue attack?
No, that wasn't a.
Yeah, Fern, don't be in melee at all if you don't have to be. Why are you fighting the?
I wasn't in melee. You just kept coming back.
Yeah, if I'm the only one in melee, then we don't have to play guessing games with if he's tongued somebody or not.
Oh my!
Where's the beacon of return? Okay, it's in here. There's a noodle.
Get the danger noodle.
Noodle's easy. Unfortunately, because you got the damage buff still, it is totally possible for you to pull aggro. You know what?
Just. Oh, thank goodness. I got my buttons back. Have a robot.
There's a ninja camping my corpse.
Oh, shoot. I'm glad you said that.
We needed to know that.
I was about to die if it patrols this way.
Oh, it's...
He's just kind of standing there.
Okay. There he goes. Now he started his patrol. Right when he became aggroable.
Vaul, what have you been up to this?
Everything is terrible and suffering. It's been quite an awful week. I got none of the important work I needed to do done. I spent my entire time shackled to the bench just trying to get the regular processes going. The auditor's coming up and I have not improved our situation one iota because I've been too busy with other things. We had a day where an entire department all called in sick at once. And then the boiler exploded. I had to evacuate the building. And the fire department came, checked everything out and let us back in. Then we had to clean up. Because, of course, when your boiler goes, water is everywhere. So, yeah, we cleaned up. Then the engineer came to look at the boiler, try and work out what the hell happened. And flooded the place again in the process. Just after we finished cleaning up. Which was great. And then we found out that it looks like the boiler level switch is not working correctly. So our boiler has 3 elements in it. A lower one, a middle one, and an upper one. But of course, as everybody knows, you don't run a kettle when there's no water in it, right? That's bad juju.
Very bad juju.
The thermal expansion will cause the heating element to rupture. The level switch wasn't working though, so it wasn't properly turning off the elements as the water level in the boiler dropped, as it was because the boiler supplies steam to the autoclave, so it's boiling off its volume all the time. That's the whole point. So when the element ruptured, it created a passage where the water in the boiler could pass into the element and then shoot out through the ruptured part of the element that protrudes from the boiler where the power is supplied.
Actually, into the element?
Into the element. So the typical element is basically, it's a hollow copper tube with nichrome wire in it, right?
Yeah, you don't want to get water in that. That's bad juice.
When you have traumatic thermal expansion, the the tubing will expand and contract with the heat, right? But it's thinner in places where it's bent because it's a coil. So at the ends where the element loops back, it's very thin, so it splits. And then, because it's a tube, water can go inside. If that split travels along the length of the tube, it can go to the part of the tube that protrudes through the plate, which bolts to the outside of the boiler, which holds the element in place. So 5 bar of steam and water shot out the boiler into the media room and filled it with steam and set off the fire alarms because the temperature went so high. And so that's why the fire department came out. So now I have another pile of health and safety paperwork to do, which is fantastic. It's exactly what I need. And we have no boiler, therefore no autoclave. Everything is terrible. That's the short version. Everything is terrible.
How long are they estimating to get the autoclave fixed? Boiler fixed?
Well, you can't get parts for it in this country.
Of course you can't.
The nearest place that manufactures them is Australia, and we know what Ozpost is like.
Oh yeah, you'll be lucky if they don't eat it.
So yeah, there's a engineering company nearby that can loan us a boiler, a boiler that they can temporarily plumb in to get our production processes up and running again. I don't know when that will be done. Best case scenario is tomorrow, I guess. But after that, it's a matter of getting the old boiler pulled apart, inspected to see whether this is actually a device that's fit to repair or not, or whether this is just going to be a problem that will reoccur once we get the parts we need. In which case, it'd be like, we've spent a big pile of money on the boiler so far this year, and it'll be a much, much, much bigger pile of money to get a new boiler. However, it may, in the long run, be a better expenditure than repairing the current one, because the current one's a bit old and crusty. It's nothing. The engineer said, well, technically, there's nothing wrong with it. It's an all right type of boiler, but it's not one that he personally likes very much. And it has the problem of not being able to get parts. So, yeah, I don't know. We'll wait and see what the big bosses do about it. But it's been rough times at work.
Generally, when things like that, if you can't get the thing actually repaired, you might be
not cheap though. Not cheap
at all.
It is a fearfully large pile of money that is required to accomplish our ends in this regard.
This is a problem we do have to deal with in New Zealand. And it's really prominent with cars, is sometimes you can't get parts.
Yeah.
They just don't exist.
I'm gonna aggro this guy, ain't I?
Or not.
No, he turned
Yeah,
around.
what am I going to do? In the middle of the room, I don't know how much.
Here he goes.
Fern face checked him. Okay. I got a steal on, so he's not going to do anything to me.
But yeah, so basically, my week has been fairly awful from top to bottom, and frantically busy, and I'm really concerned about the amount of overtime that has been being done, and I really need to get it down, but I need more people for that, and just don't have the applicants right now. But it's at the point where I'm just like, hang production, I don't care. We need people to rest properly, or they're just going to make mistakes, like catastrophic amounts of mistakes.
Fatigue is a real thing, people.
Yeah, and we have, there are employees that take fatigue too seriously and never seem to want to do anything that involves putting in any effort. But we also have, on the other hand, we've got people who don't take fatigue seriously enough and think that they can work forever without consequence. And then they just work themselves sick, basically.
Yeah, you've got to take a break and recharge your batteries sometimes, or you'll go insane and start doing bad work.
That's why I get really, because they'll be out running around at 4 o'clock in the morning, still being kiddos, under 30. Also, let's face it, you shouldn't be out.
Yeah, it's like we work sometimes with quite dangerous stuff, and we've got a lot of work that needs to be done, and it has to be done in quite a precise way, quite an exacting way. So we can't afford people to just get tired and make mistakes. It causes problems. Like it would take more time to go back and clean up all the mistakes than it will to just let the sample be a bit late and do it when you're rested. But
don't hug me so close unless I tell you to get melee. Get melee.
Oh.
I forgot this guy.
Oh yeah, Danger Noodle.
I think we're okay. We're okay.
But it's basically just I need to try and strike this balance between making sure the people that need to rest take the rest that they need, and making sure that the people who are always looking for an opportunity to take a rest are not going to exploit the situation and just disappear. Because I mean, there are I've got people to deal with who are like, I don't know, they just don't seem to take showing up to work very seriously. They'll show up and then they'll say, "Oh, I've got a tummy ache. I need to go home after like 2 hours," type of thing. Like there are people like that.
Yeah,
you'll find them. You find them everywhere. But yeah, I'm not particularly over fond of dealing with the situation. However, that is my job now. Yeah, but it's taking up an absurd amount of my time. Things looked like they were on the up and up. Like last week, it looked like this week would be a bit better, but no. Instead, it was just chaos, pure distilled chaos.
Got your hopes up. That's that the universe waits for that.
There are technically a finite number of things that can go wrong because there are a finite number of particles in the universe. So,
will the universe find a way to go through all of them before your lifetime's over?
Could be.
I really hope not.
Now you're just tempting it.
Oh.
Yeah, hopefully. I mean, I'm sort of setting myself up for a disappointment, but hopefully things will be a bit better this week because historically things have wound down just a little bit leading up to the Easter period. So I have to work through Easter, but generally speaking, the amount of work is not great. Oh boy! So this is Crystal Guy, right?
Yeah. To ensure that I always have aggro, only I will strengthen steel, and I'll pop the Doga. Also.
Hey.
So,
if you have one, can you? Actually, okay, no, don't worry. I'll just use a focus target. It'll be fine.
So for this boss, he will periodically target a player, tether to them, and you need to run away from him while you're tethered until the tether turns purple. Otherwise, you get one shot. To not get one shot, and when he dashes to you, he will cast Preternatural Turn. If he is big blue and RP glowy, he's doing a donut AoE. If he's not glowy when he does it, he's going to do a ginormous point blank AoE. That's mechanic 1. Mechanic 2, he will cast.
Is that the only time he does that?
No, we'll get to that. He does it again for mechanic 2. For mechanic 2, he will cast Roar. Rocks that are tiny will fall everywhere. These just need to be avoided, but there will be a big rock that falls 4 times. These will fall in a plus-shaped pattern, I believe at the Cardinals, but it might be the Inner Cardinals. Doesn't really matter. The arena is a circle. One of them,
perfect circle.
One of them will be slightly off-center from the other ones, and it will be the last crystal to appear. If he runs to the middle, which he will, after all the rocks have fallen, he will cast Preternatural Turn. If it's RP glowy, you need to stand on top of exactly where I am, and it will be on or dang close to the safe spot. Now, if it's glowy, we need to get inside his hitbox, and somewhere between the edge of his hitbox and on the side that the faraway crystal is will be the safe spot. If it is not glowy, we need to run to outside of the range of the point blank AoE, so pretty dang far, and to the left or right of the crystal that is further out than the rest. So stack on me after the crystals fall during roar, and you should be able to follow me through that. Okay, and that's it. That's the whole fight. Just repeat this until he's dead. Ready?
And I will stand in my ley lines.
Yeah.
Black mage.
Yep. Get your heals ready as well with your potions, because he does do a roar does do a substantial amount of just damage. Oh, and he has a tank buster.
Because that's fair.
Okay, on the tether target. He's glowy donut. Sustaining potion. Okay, he's roaring.
What does that mean? I've forgotten already. Is it falling
rock.
things time?
Yeah, falling things time. Okay, look for where the last crit. Okay, we know where the last one's going to be now. So start moseying your way this way. And okay, stand on top of me. And you may have to make very minor adjustments. Back, just a hair. Yeah, okay.
All right.
That's the harder one.
That
The
does not
other
give
one
you
is
a whole lot
actually
of space
easier.
to play.
No, you have a post-it note for that thing.
Yeah.
But it's still way easier than Mage's Guide makes it look like. I will post in live show chat Mage's MS Paint drawing that makes this mechanic look absolutely terrifying, even though it's actually really simple once you understand it. That's the tether.
Run! I completely forgot about casting Thunder because
Run away from him.
I haven't been casting it.
All right, so he does do
Due to
them.
most mobs not lasting long enough.
No, they're randomized for the entire fight. I've seen him double up before. I know I have.
Oh, damn it.
Okay, mosey your way over to this crystal that's fallen. Yeah, he's glowy again, so.
So he can double up.
Yeah, it's totally random.
Oh, what you're looking.
Yeah, there's nothing in this boss that is that scary.
Except the concept of being a non-tank targeted by a tank buster.
Aside from that.
Yeah, it's got the big scary tank buster marker, but with Bloodwetting and Eureka Potion going, you're okay.
Your turn, Vault. Run away.
Is he going to be glowy or not? He is not. I always run extra far away when it's not the donut, because holy crap, it's huge. He should die before we have to do the turn, so just blown up. Okay, we'll need to save a strength and a steel for the next boss so we can repeat this with me tanking.
I'm glad that the border of this doesn't kill you because I gave it a bit of a nuzzle.
Oh, don't worry. The next boss, the boss hitbox will kill you.
That sounds inconvenient.
Fantabulous.
All right, ready to die to Harambe?
It's Harambe time.
Go
yeah,
get Harambe. Just need to tell the Clintons he has information on them and he'll be fine.
Yep. So Harambes don't start appearing until floor 74, 75. And they get more common the deeper we get into the set. The things that need talking about before we even go in are Kunoichis are copy pastas of the ninjas from the last floor set, except they do more single target damage. So you guys are going to get wrecked because you don't have Aether Pool and you may die. Coral Patrols have a attack called Wide Blaster. As I found out on my last run, it is more than one room wide. or 1 room long. And it
Long
is
boy.
it's a long boy and it's a fat boy. You need to, when we pull a coral, you need to be in melee range, ready to run to the flank. Don't run behind him, because you'll trigger tail whip, which is tail swing, which is the same thing but backwards and a little bit skinnier.
Yeah, you get good tomestones out of this.
Yeah, you do. Unicorns are going to do a triple knockback to whoever has aggro a few seconds after they pull. So somebody's going to go for a trip every time we pull one. Elephants will charge at you and then do a very fast point blank AoE that is not telegraphed. So if an elephant charges at you, run away from it. Tokas are free. Wolves are free. Thunder Beasts have Scythe Tail, has no cast bar, has no telegraph, but he will stop auto attacking and slightly crouch down. It is very, very hard to see. If anybody is out of range, he will cast Spark, which is like the noodles from the last floor, a giant donut. Bird of Orthos, Gaze attack if you get hit by it. If somebody does get confused, just let them die and run away from them. Gulagulos are the problem mob. We cannot use lethargies on the first half of this floor set because Gulagulos have an attack called the Killing Paw. It's a very basic cone in front of them that then, after about a second after it goes off, will repeat itself. That's fine, but if you stun them, slow them, or anything, or even sometimes if they just feel like it, they will bank the second hit, run up to you, and insta-kill you. So we are going to try not to pull them as much as possible. And the 4 fun mobs that make this set the most dangerous floor set are all in the later half. I'll explain when we get to floor 74, 75, and C1 for the first time.
What's the syntax to write a macro to cast on focus?
I do not know. You trying to make a teleport macro?
Yeah. So that when you say to run, I can just press the button and go to your position. Because I'm lazy.
I can give you my intervention macro, and it'll probably be the same syntax. What number am I in your party list?
You are currently 2.
Okay, so
actually, I have nascent flash on 2 already.
Yeah, change intervention in that to read whatever the teleport move is, Aether Flow or whatever. And tell me when you're ready to go. And you can continue your week now.
Right. I just have to figure out how to spell ethereal manipulation. Okay. Right, so yeah, as a result of my miserable week, I've still got the intervention icon. As a result of my miserable week, I spent basically no time on gaming. However, I did, loyally do most days, not every day, the Beast Tribe quest, and I finished. So as a result, I did finish my grand project in the end, and so I now have completed leveling all the combat classes to 90. It's done.
So you can now play what you want and everything?
Yep. Don't need to think about wasted EXP anymore. Everything's fine.
At first, for me, that was a spoiled for choice feeling, and then I eventually settled into the classes.
I've been playing the game for long enough that it doesn't feel like spoiled for choice for me. It just feels like, oh, finally I can play the class that I want, and I don't have to think about how I'm not doing something else that I was planning on doing.
Yeah, I got to that point, but it took a minute. All right, I'm going to eat food before we go in, so I have food running the whole time. All right, we're going to die to the Harambe set.
Them's the breaks.
That's just
can't stand up to the power of Harambe.
We will be able to demonstrate Harambe to the masses.
This is why they shot Harambe.
He was just...
Okay, and the patrols are all really scary here, so we need to get rid of them as soon as we can. Don't see any. Mimic? Yep. I'm pulling him back. I don't want him in the donut room. Yeah, you're shooting him while I'm trying to pull him back out of the donut room. So you got aggro. Remember, I'm on a melee class right now. I don't I don't have a way to hit it while I'm running back except with my ranged attack. And this ranged attack does not have bonus threat on it.
I have to pull.
I don't have a strength anymore, though.
Oh, you don't.
Yeah, they go away when you finish the floor set. Kunoichi. Alright. You cannot carry it between.
We're on a web floor again.
I have the sound turned off right now, which is actually really dangerous, but...
But yeah, so I've gotten all my classes up to max. Quite happy about that. Still have to do fishing to get the complete set. But
And
Brian's not
don't-
too fishing.
Don't forget, if you go to the lodestone, there's another level there, track, that you need to finish. Your elemental level.
no, I don't. I don't finish it ever. I just won't ever go to the lodestone ever again.
Don't be in front of it. Don't be in front of it. You're gonna wish that thing killed you if you get hit by it.
I wasn't in front of it, but it didn't matter. The server thought I was. I'm gonna have the longest cast times on Earth.
Yeah, they can be stunned, but they're the free kills for this floor set. All right.
Annoying, my look.
Yes. All right. I'm gonna get this.
Uh-oh, turn around, come back.
Okay, what do we got? Elif. We don't have a witching. I have to lethargy.
Oh no, you have to do lethargy.
Well, we're okay because they all
I've got a Toko.
fight the Toko. I'll be there once this elephant's done casting rear.
Right. Well, I mean, I don't know if I can survive on account
Well, I mean,
of my casting slow.
I'm coming, but I got an elephant. Okay, let's get them somewhere where we have room to operate here.
Proof that hugging the wall is not 100% guaranteed to dodge traps.
Yeah, like I said in that donut room, even if your nuts are on the wall, I think you can still get one in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can't. I gotta run potions. I was trying to save potions, but no. I should have gone out and got us. We should have gone out and got Phoenix Downs. Oh well.
Oh, we should have. Oh well.
All right, I keep forgetting you can actually buy them.
Yes. It rarely comes up.
Yeah, it's like normally it's just a waste of time.
I'm not just doing what I'm doing to the stupid elephant for my health, by the way. Boy, you can't. You the viewers can't see what I'm doing, but I'm sitting here running in a circle around it, and because it doesn't have a point or a channeled AOE in a direction, that will actually screw with its auto attack timing. And you can delay their auto attack sometimes when you do that. It is just a quirk of that mob type.
Is it going to pick a random target or knock you back?
I think it's its primary target. Yep, I'm going for a ride.
Oh, got a unicorn.
We do.
I don't like that. Okay. Oh, right.
Oh,
lethargy.
Yeah, I put a lethargy on it. It's going to be there a while. Coral. We need to be ready for Long Blaster. Okay, I'm going to pull it to this hallway. The front
The
of this
longest
hallway.
of boys.
Oh,
Oh.
shoot.
Oh boy!
Wow.
Thank goodness for lethargy. But now I've got a Toko right next to me.
Just did he just turn around? Okay.
Oh no, he's going to tail swing.
Yeah, I baited him into it on purpose.
Okay.
That is a big cone.
Yeah. I thought I could get him in the hallway before that. No, they start that cast fast.
Curl does what Curl wants to.
Yeah. There's a cat.
Okay, now we'll get the Heffalump. Right, so minor Heffalump related disasters aside. So now all your classes are 90.
Yep.
So
Works.
what class are you? I know you play Warrior. But any other class besides Warrior you're picking up and going to sit down and try and learn?
I think I'm just going to return back to the ones that I like the most, which is Warrior's always been my primary class to play. But I like playing Scholar, I like playing Red Mage, and I haven't really had the chance to play Red Mage in a while, so there's so many DPS classes to level. And I like Dragoon, which is the same case. Well, the thing is, I basically haven't played Red Mage since Endwalker dropped, and it's changed a lot since Shadowbringers.
Since Shadowbringers, yeah.
Since the entire sort of layout of the way you structure your rotation has changed because of the changes to Embolden. Manification, I should say.
Yeah.
So it's a different experience now than what it was. So I'm looking forward to playing with that. And likewise, I basically haven't touched Dragoon since Shadowbringers either. So yeah, I'm looking forward to playing to basically settling down to learn a few DPS roles. Nice. Slow call.
Yeah, that's the actual frontal cone that we don't ever get to see the cone for because it casts too fast.
Right. Yeah, so I don't know what the next project I'm going to do is. I don't know if I want to commit to the books full retard like you and Abo did.
Abo didn't commit to him as retard as I did. I turned him into my casual activity for like a month and some change.
But yeah, there's also I've got to get fishing up there eventually, although I don't enjoy fishing in video games quite the same way that Aristeel does.
Even if I don't enjoy fishing in the video game, I will still find myself doing the fishing in the video game out of some strange compulsion. I'll take
nearfishing.jpg. Everybody's favorite fishing minigame.
I'm just doing some quick checks. You guys don't have to follow me. You can go kill the thing in the exit room. Ooh, that was worth the quick check. I'll take that.
Was. Elfin.
I don't even care that we have to fight a Heffalump for two Onion Knights. So yeah.
Yeah. Well, so and there's the crafting equipment, the new quest chains they put in. I kind of just want to go back to doing some regular content again as well. Like I did the trail roulette for the first time in forever on a whim yesterday and got Titania, which was interesting.
Also, do we
have... I'll pop it next floor set because we've already moved through rooms.
Everybody in the group was either there for Titania's story or confessed that they didn't remember how Titania went.
Oh, that's ominous.
And I went as Scholar, and it was a time all right. People were dropping left and right because nobody could remember what any of the mechanics did. It was just a complete clown fiesta, but I enjoyed it, so that makes it worth it.
Titania is one of those fights that can get really messy if you can't remember how it goes.
Yeah, it's not overly complicated, and in fact, I hear that in extreme mode, it doesn't actually change a lot. They just do a few nasty little things like remove the markers on the ground for certain things, so you just have to remember where they are.
They jack up the health for minions.
Well, they jack up the health in general.
Everything goes up because it's going from like a mid-level trial to a high-end trial. So
yeah.
But yeah, so I'm just basically going to be able to be a bit more relaxed about it because I haven't set myself a goal that will nag at me if I don't focus on it. So yeah, there's lots of things I like playing in the game. I'm more sort of relieved that I'm sort of done for the time being with the things I don't like doing because there are some classes that I just don't enjoy at all. Like I straight up dislike playing Bard. I don't really like playing Monk. But there are just a lot of things that I don't like.
Get ready for Wide Blaster.
That's fine. Not everyone's going to enjoy every class.
Yeah, well, that's why they have lots of classes, because not everybody enjoys them.
Pick what you like.
Yeah, and I do like Black Mage as well. It's just that Black Mage is deeply incompatible with... Oh, come on! In what way was I standing in that? The Black Mage is sort of deeply incompatible with server things, as was just amply demonstrated there, because you have to spend so much of your time standing still and then slide casting at the last second. And
good luck finding
demonstrably, that doesn't work. So
good luck finding your slide cast point with y'all's latency.
It just doesn't happen.
I mean, you can do it. It's not that hard. In fact, from a certain point of view, it gives you more latitude. The problem is that the consistency varies, so you're not always going to successfully avoid clipping your own cast. So, yeah, I like the class, but in terms of I like the rhythm and method to its play. I just don't like the fact that the server kills me all the time. Because healers adjust. Yeah. Yeah, but it was also doing the beast tribes in the evening was one of my evening things that I did, along with a certain other thing which has now been removed from the ledger that we'll talk about later. So I'm sort of I have very little evening time, but all of a sudden it has all opened up. So I'm not sure exactly what I'll do. Oh, that is a wide boy.
Very wide.
Yeah, Fern, just marry his flank.
Hug the side of this cat. Everything else is alarmingly wide.
Cats don't like being clung to. Sometimes they like clinging to people, but they don't like being clung to.
Yeah, a cat is happy as long.
Yeah, it has to be the decision maker in any situation.
I'm going to risk this, Fern. Okay.
I was actually going to say, because that's sitting there guaranteeing that was...
No, just this floor set has retarded places where it can block those stupid things. The bird actually hits pretty hard, so
it does.
Yeah.
I
saw him chunk 35% of your HP in one attack.
Yeah, so I don't know what I'm gonna do with the rest of my free time, but I kind of feel like I'll cross that bridge when I come to it. I may simply just go to bed early because I've been tired a lot lately due to all of the 12-hour shifts at work and such like. But yeah, I've been recently using as background. I started using Bales's run through Persona 5 Royal. Yeah, she's not a Persona player. She has no experience with the series whatsoever and doesn't know anything about the story whatsoever. So it's sort of been interesting seeing it, and it's like, man, I'm not getting any revelations here as such from the story, but it's kind of worse than I remember in some respects, and I'm talking about in terms of just being sort of actually kind of horrific. Like, I was sort of pretty matter of fact when I went through the opening arc myself in the game, but Bay's sort of color commentary on just how utterly disgusted she is with Kamoshida every 5 minutes is sort of it adds an extra dimension of how repulsive he is.
Kamoshida is just one of those characters that you can't help but need to bathe yourself.
Yeah, it's get in the wood chipper, man. Just
do us all a favor. He is 100% pure creep. There's no nuance to him. He is just
do a quick check. Nope, fuck that.
That's a lot of Toko.
Which, I mean, it's kind of falls in line. He's the first bad guy of the game, so he doesn't really need any nuance at that point.
Well, I mean, he's sort of this is how repulsive a person can be when they're not doing anything on a grand scale.
Yeah.
He's only harming the people he can reach, and that's more than enough for him to be fed into a wood chipper.
Yes. I'm actually starting to really enjoy a lot of Bay's comment. Even just this morning, I sat down and watched one of their guillotine games, which was they almost never. A lot of that type of product is, but it was like Hachima, Bay, Ollie, and Mel. I guess they wanted monsters.
Bay's not a monster. Bay's adorable for an Australian.
Yeah, she was probably the least monstrous one of the of that cast. The other choice is a vampire, a zombie, and a Hachima.
Yeah.
Who I don't even know what
has...
character she's doing both characters at the same time now.
Well, Hachima's just Hachima now, really.
Yeah.
Like, because nobody's really divided into two people. That's not the way people really are in the real world. So ultimately, Bay is just a person who has changed over the course of her experiences, which have been interesting.
Yeah, about
So,
that. How she was, how she is.
yeah.
It's actually kind of like night and day when you go back and watch. Change that much.
Well, she was given a sort of like a layout of the character that she was supposed to be, like they all are initially, and it wasn't Hachima. That was not the person she was originally written to be. But yeah, over the course of time, I wasn't paying attention. Over the course of time, that's just what happened. I need my health.
Aim out.
Yeah. Get ready for Wide Blaster.
Get ready for the longness of the boy. But
Hachima's parents are Andrew and
Hug his flank. I will try to keep him pointed
actually
in that
gets
direction.
that joke. You're doing very, very well.
But yeah, it's it was interesting, sort of like being forced to realise the amount of cultural affinity I have for Australians, simply because New Zealanders and Australians, no matter how much they might lock horns over petty things, nevertheless have a huge amount of cultural overlap.
Oh no.
Oh,
I will face.
This could be bad. Yeah, there is a lot going on between both.
Oh, that was awfully convenient landmine.
That was generally awful, actually. So let's not do that again.
Yeah, it's just easier to connect with Bay because she doesn't have all that fuzz of American bullcrap in the way.
Yep.
Thank
Because
goodness.
even though New Zealanders have a different cultural milieu to Australians, the cultural milieu of Australians is very, very familiar. It's something that we can understand quite easily because we see it all the time. There's so many Australians in New Zealand, and so many New Zealanders spend time in Australia as well. So it's not all that strange. But yeah, it's easier to understand the thinking, I guess.
There's a lot of overlap in terms of just.
And Bay seems like a more familiar person. Like all of the other VTubers, they're just sort of characters on a screen to me. Then because it's like how Americans, for some reason, and this is something Sargon likes to say a lot. Actually, Americans seem to think that they are a creedal country as opposed to an ethnicity, when the reality is that anybody who is not an American can tell which person in the room is the American.
It's not hard. Let's face it.
Yeah, they stick out like a sore thumb. And so there's always going to be that sort of cultural gap, but the cultural gap is a lot shorter with Bay. So when I happen to watch a stream that she's on, she seems like a familiar person, whereas all the others seem like characters.
Yeah. I got a bit of that with Sana as well, but for her it felt like the character was first and foremost.
Well, that's because it always is early on.
Yeah, and she didn't really have the time to mature.
Yeah, well, she decided that it wasn't for her, and I mean, that's reasonable. It's a weird lifestyle to lead.
It is a seriously hardcore lifestyle. That's what a lot of these actually hear all these kids say, oh, I want to be a YouTuber. They don't realize it is a lot of work. YouTuber, influencer, anything in that industry. It is all work.
Yeah, and it's a risk too, because it could all fall apart any second.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee you'll even get successful in the first place.
And it is almost certainly not a viable career path for more than a decade. At most, at absolute most, you're not getting more than a decade out of it if you are the most talented and lucky person on the planet.
Yeah. There's been a
Okay.
few who've been able to stretch it out longer, but they've inevitably shifted their content to do it.
Okay, so
What do
we are in the Harambe. We are in the Harambe zone. In the Harambe zone, there's that griffin thing. Hang on, let me see if it's stun or interrupt. Stun, so it's on me.
Okay.
We cannot pull multiple griffins. We have got to pull them one at a time, and we have got to pull them when my stun is up, because what it's going to do is going to target somebody, random, I think, and leap to them and do a huge point-blank AoE. It'll do this 3 times. Not room-wide huge, but pretty dang big.
It's going to hop on top of the same person 3 times, or it's going to bounce to a random target 3 times?
I think 3 is random target 3 times. And then, after the third one, it'll cast Winds of Winter. This has to be line-of-sighted or stunned.
Not really anything to line of sight with immediately in our vicinity.
No, not unless we pull it to a wall. Yeah, I am currently on the hunt for Harambes. Just let me...
Glowing
Okay,
color Harambe? Wall Harambe?
Yeah, I think we're okay here.
Dealing.
So we can start pulling. So, the objective here is to get off of this floor set as fast as human. Yeah.
So basically, locate the exit, kill the minimum number of the easiest mobs, and leave.
Yeah. Our objective is to GTFO these floors as fast as possible.
Get out before Harambe
And
find.
yeah, and we, as much as it sucks, I'll just use a Doga instead of blowing a Serenity on the no abilities floor, because we do not want to waste Serenities when we get the triple debuff Harambe floor that has no items on it.
That sounds most unpleasant.
It is.
Yeah, up until this point, I think we've only seen double debuffs.
Yeah.
And all that. They ever go up to triple?
Oh yeah, I've got triple debuffs all the time.
Right.
They usually are immediate Serenity targets, so
yeah, you don't want to mess. Oh.
Yeah, the target for each free fall, I think. Yeah, the target for each free fall, I think, is random. I'm gonna try not to pull that Gula Gula with Doga. Okay, we could probably kill it before the killing paw goes off.
Yeah, Doga I think is gonna be the bit harder here.
Just if somebody dies, oh crap, it can't be me though.
Can't be you.
All right. I keep wondering, why can't I triple cast?
No, you don't have a triple cast button. Haven't thrown a robot at this.
Okay, it only got the initial killing paw off. It's the second one that can get screwed up. I'm saving the sites for the next few floors. I will dread 2 of them at least. Is there a Harambe in there? I cannot see. Please don't trap.
But
please. Oh, actually, if any of them would be a mimic, that would be good. Okay, good. That's a flight. Sorry, I'm in anti-Harambe mode.
Focus! Focus on the killer monkey.
Be very careful running through the edges of these, or running through the center of these rooms. If we get triple Harambes, well, actually, in combat, they're not that scary. They hurt, but they can't have the damage buff if they spawn.
It's when they kill you from hiding across the other side of the map.
Okay, we got 2 Gula Gulos. I don't care about those. And a room full of mimics.
Until they're double killing for you.
Yeah, we unfortunately don't appear to have much choice. And we got to get rid of at least 1 Gula Gula, probably. These are probably better to get rid of.
Well, we've got Doga, so...
Oh.
It's still not open.
The other one.
Though Gulu Gulus are almost as scary. Just because of their weird bug. Okay, let's GTFO off this floor.
Move on.
I fly to the
Haven't
next
laid
one.
eyes upon a monkey yet.
We're free of monkey.
What are they actually called, though? Because you've been
Sasquatches.
calling them Harambes, so...
Sasquatch.
I just need to
If you
deal with this cat. 1 moment.
Oh, great, we're blinded.
Blinded is very bad. That's a dread beast.
Blind and a dread beast.
I see a woof, a dread beast, and a bird.
Are we gonna...
It's an imp. Fern, as soon as you see that thing's health disappear, start shooting it. Oh, good, you clipped the wolf.
Open to do.
Oh, I see your AoE, dumb monkey.
I see a monkey over there.
I do too. Come, monkey.
Bad monkey.
Why are you talking like Johnny Bravo?
Don't know.
Dual pelt.
The very first time I died, none of them mentioned the stool pelt for obvious reasons. It's a very simple AoE. But I was caught between a stool pelt and a roaring Harambe.
Not only is it a very angry, very aggressive monkey, it also tries.
Yes. Oh, there's a Harambe over there. But we're open and the exit's back there. I'm just grabbing that and we're getting off this floor. All right. Yes. Oh, that's
Can't be a mimic anymore,
Yeah,
right?
that's open.
Yeah. So.
Oh, I ran through the center of the room like a genius.
Oh, did you just get the everything?
No, now even when I do manage to hit, I don't do as much damage.
Okay, we do not have Doga, so we actually have to do the mechanic right.
Hey, you were right next to me.
Yeah, but this is just how it is.
It's a return. This is what we have to do.
Oh crap! I just realized the big problem with these mobs and the stunning strat here.
Hey.
We're on a blinded floor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we need to actually successfully stun.
And if you guys should try to line of sight just in case.
I haven't seen. Hey,
Yeah.
All set.
Not really, because a lot of my upsets this week will infold with Aristeels.
Yeah.
Alt flow, or do you want?
Let's do the normal week first. So we'll talk about Final Fantasy. Okay, my stun is back up. Probably not, but I could hit the stupid thing. So you're looking at what I did for most of my free time this week. The rest of it was spent continuing my project of work on the books. Well, there was that, but I meant more work on the books for.
I don't remember what Winds of Winter was.
That's the thing I need to stun.
Right.
Or you guys need a line of sight. Oh, we got access to a chest now, at least. Oh, well, that could be helpful. This is the last floor set where raisins will show up. Raisins will not show up at 80+. Oh, well, it's a Corrigan room. It's not the exit room, but I'll take a Corrigan room. HS, nope. Oh, yep, there's one. Go around.
You mean a mimic?
No. Hooray. Dang it.
I ran through the center of the room and I was fine.
I was slightly off
Fine,
the wall.
eh?
I should have humped it harder. There is a Harambe on the way to the exit. So, I made it to floor 80 solo and beat the boss. And I finally punched my way through the Harambes after many mishaps. And basically, all my free time has gone into Eureka Orthos. It has been a nightmare at work with just people calling about dumb crap all week. Just customers wanting me to play tech support all day long, nonstop. Yeah, I was focused on the Harambe over there. I'm going to sit over here and
talk to Harambe. That falls on.
Yeah, look at how big this AoE is when he does it, because he's almost certainly going to do it before the silencing trap wears off. Yep, there he goes. Look at how
He
big
just ate
this
a banana.
Monkey.
Yeah, Fern was in danger range right there.
Yeah, well, good 10 feet. Still,
You
That
mean
is-
yalms?
that is stupid.
Yalms.
Yeah, this is why this floor set is infamous. That and the Gula Gulas, which are bugged right now with their killing paw.
Line of sight Harambe at least.
Yeah, you can line of sight it, but good luck with that. Oh crap!
Not have a telegraph.
No, you see the right banana getting eaten, and then it's going off. Okay, I do not care about that treasure chest. GTFO the floor. I'll gamble with the Corrigans again. And yeah, I've the last set that you saw us do. There's not a whole lot to write about that set. There's some stuff that can catch you off guard in it, but it's fairly straightforward. Okay, this is yeah, because we're okay. Yeah, I want to. Yeah, if I'm at 7, it's okay. 8 or low. Let me just do a Harambe check. Okay, the horde's in that room. Here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna make us not have to deal with the Fire Lion.
Okay.
Okay, you guys get the horde and get the chest in here, and I'm going to go machine my way through and hopefully deal with Harambes. So yeah, you can see what my trauma has been while playing Vidya this week, and that is Harambe.
You're afraid of monkeys.
I am afraid of Monkey. Because Monkey hits like a tanker truck when he's got his damage buff on, which he... No, I'm coming back. Gotta love having a group with the Dreadnought. Oh, there's a Harambe. Wrecking Ball, go!
Maximum? Now
There's another Harambe.
What?
Oh. Okay, exactly.
And that's been the week. Is there is
Oh no, there's another Harambe.
Monkey.
this. Oh, Fern, be careful. You are very low on HP, and I do not have aggro.
Yeah, I was pressing a button I don't have at the moment.
Get out of here, you gorilla.
That's all the floor stuffs. Not necessarily the most dangerous.
Well, because it surprises you when you go to hit your OSHA's button and it's like, oh, my
Suddenly,
my button.
No,
No, I don't care about that. I don't want to fight the Fire Lions. The Fire Lions are also in the Harambe set. They do a ginormous untelegraphed frontal line attack that cannot be line of sighted.
Right.
It will go clean through walls.
Doesn't surprise. Death laser.
Yeah. Haste and gloom. How do I want to maximize use of haste? I know the first thing I want to do is get that Harambe.
At least the Harambes are only in Eureka Orthos, and they're not in Pagos.
There might be some in Pagos. I haven't forgot them. Ooh, man. With the gloom up, Harambe hits hard. I just saw Harambe do his thing. Okay, I see a Harambe. Come, Harambe. Ow. But yeah, it's you save as many palms as you can for specifically the Harambe bit in this floor set. This is fairly standard practice by now in Eureka Orthos. And the reason you do that is because Harambe exists.
Scatines? They've got Scatines too?
There's sound aggro, and they do a point-blank AoE called Chirp that is not super huge, but you still want to get us pretty far away. Oh, there's a Harambe. Come, Harambe. Come, you stupid monkey. Thankfully, we haven't got any clustered Harambes, so we're actually doing fairly well. But that's been my real problem, is when there are multiple Harambes that are all together in one room, and you have to find a way to pull them.
Is Harambe having... Oh my goodness. Everybody's got sprint, including Harambe.
Yeah, and the gloom's up, so... Chicken Wizard, his big mechanic is Chirp. It does a point-blank AoE around him. If you're nearby, you get slept, and then he kills you.
We just RP walk past him.
We can, but we need to open the exit, so... Otherwise...
So we don't get to see how big that is?
No, it's a relatively smallish point-blank AoE, but I would get as far away as possible while he's casting it, because it's a pretty quick cast. And yeah, that's this floor set. This has been my bugbear. I've got stuck on these.
You are along with everybody else who hasn't made it onto the higher end of the leaderboard.
Yeah, it's just been a session of pain getting through these particular 4 floors solo. These 4 or 5 floors, just Harambe is just difficult. You can just get a floor layout that screws you. And as we mentioned before, you can get a Harambe that you can't even see kill you. Its name won't even be on the list. On the enemy list.
And next.
Hopefully we won't have to mess with the monkey. So
someone who is absolute madman at headquarters.
I'm pretty sure the guy that came up with Harambe is actually evil.
He might be at this point.
Well, I mean, where would the fun of it be if it wasn't a challenge? It's got to have something in there.
True.
I know, but
which brings me round to what I was saying. I wanted to hear from you regarding this is like how, as a piece of content, how do you feel that this method of content design stacks up compared to the previous deep dungeons?
Other than Harambe here, this place isn't very RNG dependent, surprisingly. Which means I'm worried it will very quickly turn into a well, I've done it now, so why do I want to keep going? It's kind of scenario. Like, once I get my clear, unless I'm going for Omni clear or something, each run is going to be pretty much the same, just played differently on a different class. Okay, we're going to get this guy. All right. Don't get... Yeah. I will attempt to face him down this hallway, but yep, that's it. Don't be in front of him at all.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's a
side
A
door.
wider boy than I expected.
Yeah. Very wide.
Yeah, normally
It's
these guys...
technically a line, sure, but it's a very fat line.
All right,
Okay,
now
we can get off this floor. And I'm just going to dread the next one if possible. Yeah, it's purity. If possible, I'll dread the next floor. I'm going to sight and... yeah, that sounds like a plan.
One
Just
floor, that's going to...
that will reduce the number of Rambes.
Bombay.
Yeah, and we got a Corrigan floor anyway, so that's
And
good.
we're blind.
Uh,
And here comes a ninja.
Yep. And I'm a robot.
And another ninja.
Yeah, this is the other thing. It has proximity patrols that just come through while you're trying to
Mimic.
deal with Harambe. Okay. This is the exit room. There is a Harambe in there. And I don't know if I can pull it in. Oh no.
Oh
I'm
no.
so dead.
I'm gonna run
I'm so... I got him.
Okay.
It's K. So we've almost opened the door by now. I'm just going to use the last of this thing to kill one or two more things and get us off this stupid Harambe nightmare. Oh, there's nothing in here. All right, the Cordigans. All right, let's escape Harambe hell. I'm going to use that. I do. I'm going to strength on the boss so that I have aggro, and I'll pop us an Onion Knight to make it die fast.
That is gone.
Yeah, Onion Knight is insane. There's a chest in here. I'm going to check. Don't be a mimic. Okay, thank goodness. The next floor set is all uncharted territory, so I don't think we'll be going into that one. But we'll go hang out at the house while we discuss something. While we discuss the rest of the news. But yeah, this boss, you've seen my progression for the week as we now are doing it as a group. This boss is Protocolia. You guys, the steel tip on Mage's Guide isn't going to apply to you because you don't have max Aether Pull. It has several large breath attacks that you need to watch out for. It has Rightward Nerve Gas, which hits everything. If you draw a line, assuming that its head is 0 degrees, if you draw a line clean through the boss at a 45-degree angle on it, with the majority of the half circle being on its right side, that's rightward breath. So it hits all behind it, its right side, except for a cone in front of it and a little bit to its left. Same, and leftward is the exact opposite. So only the front or the front-ish side of the boss that is not right or left is safe. You'll understand what I mean pretty soon. Centralized Nerve Gas is directly in front of the boss. Everywhere that is not in a cone in front of the boss is safe. Its hitbox for Centralized Cone Nerve Gas is pretty huge. So be on its flanks. It doesn't matter which one. Now, while it's doing these nerve gases, its hitbox is a kill zone. And until the end of this mechanic, its hitbox will be a kill zone.
How fast?
As soon as the cast bar finishes, but the cast bar gives you a while to figure it out.
Are you saying that it will do all three in a chain, or that it will pick one and do it?
It'll do them randomized between left, right, and centralized. So he'll do right plus back, left plus backwards, and then centralized, which is a cone in front of him. And he can pick from any of those three. And he'll do 4 of them back to back. While he's doing all this, his hitbox is a kill zone. Don't get hit by it. In addition, there will be turrets at the Cardinals. They will fire a line straight through the arena in a plus shape. So every single, and they fire in sync with the nerve gas. If I have steel going, I can survive 1 hit from a turret and still make it through the fight. On the very last cast, you will be tethered to a turret, and you will have to do whatever nerve gas he's doing, resolve that mechanic first, and then prepare for the tethered mechanic. Look at what charge you are, positive or negative, and look at what charge the turret you're tethered to is, and if it's positive or negative, and figure out how magnets work. You'll be pulled about the distance I am from here to Fern. So, not quite a half room, but close to a half room.
Or pushed, I presume.
Yes. And you want to be knocked as close to the boss's hitbox as humanly possible, because he's going to do a donut that's very tight. You've got a few steps of adjustment after it, but you need to adjust quickly and get as close to the boss as you can.
Maybe arm's length?
No. And that isn't really his only mechanic. All his other stuff, if he has anything that I don't remember, is telegraphed AoEs. So you'll understand what I was saying when we do it. It's a straightforward boss. You'll probably die, but I had to watch the video several times before it clicked with me. So I'm going to pop a strength. I'm going to pop an onion knight. And if I have to, I'm going to pop another steel when we get into the fight. All right, let's pull in before my buffs wear out. Oh, and he does this. All right, this is it. That's the mechanic I was talking about. All the stuff happens at once here. So this is just a AoE to turn everything on. Okay, we're all given a charge, so note your charge. Okay. When in doubt, you can follow me.
I straight up don't understand.
I screwed it up there too. Don't worry.
Like, I didn't understand. Like, what you described did not match what I saw on the screen at all. Like, there's no...
Oh, crap. I am in trouble. Thank you, Onion Knight.
I just can't... Just didn't understand it. Don't understand.
I think I've got a hang of it.
I am in trouble. Do I have any other defense? Okay, that doesn't hit that bad.
Okay, here we go.
Okay. Okay, so...
Man, I'm angry.
Nanospore Jet turns everything on. Centralized. And in front of him is a danger zone. In a cone. Leftward. He's going to hit left and to his back. Centralized is a cone in front of him. Rightward. I'm going to push about right. Oh, that's cutting it close. Oh, you touched it.
Yeah, the kill zone.
Okay. As usual, I'm terrible at explaining things, but as you see
the reason why I didn't understand is because you described all of the breaths first, when it does everything else before it does the breaths. Because I was like, oh, well, I'll look for the breaths then, because he explained all of that first, and then he started talking about the tethers and that.
Oh,
but the breaths aren't relevant until he's already summoned everything else onto the field.
Yeah, I was going by Mage's Guide and just reading off the stuff that was listed in order. Oh, I'm going to take that hit. No, I took the hit. I got the bolts. Yeah. I can take a laser hit. I cannot take a...
Okay, so I layered myself.
Yeah.
Yeah. You just skated onto the kill zone.
It's okay. I've got him. Yeah. For some reason, the lasers aren't lethal. The breath is, but not the lasers. So if you have to pick one to get hit by the lasers in that fight. Yeah, I was going off of Meiji's guide and the order. They have the mechanics listed, and they have the breaths all listed first.
Headshot. Gold.
Maybe I can get another crab.
Lucky.
I just got. Yeah. Not that I did anything. Set cracking time.
So yeah, my week has involved a whole lot of that. Is studying particularly that floor set and taking it very slowly, carefully, watching the videos on it, and trying to get it all figured out.
Pet.
I got an orchestrion roll and a pet that I already have.
I got Shinryu's Paladin Arms and Siryu's Cane.
I got Suzuku's Rapier, an orchestrion roll I already have, Suzuku's Great Axe, and a Materia 10.
Yep.
I want them to sack whoever thinks Materia is a reward at Creative Business Unit 3.
So I'm going to return to the house.
Like getting Materia. They don't. All right. It makes them sad.
I'm going to return to the guild house for the rest of the show because I need to sit down and pull articles up and stuff.
Have the least.
What's the least?
Punches each.
Yeah. For people that are wondering why explaining stuff of Deep Dungeons is particularly difficult when I'm reading it off a guide to refresh myself, I meant to post this earlier when we cleared the last boss, but that was for the boss we just did, that's Meiji's drawing. And this...
A visual artist he ain't.
Meiji's actually Meiji's actually a GIRL, for realsies.
No,
I was surprised too. And that was their way of explaining the stupid tiger boss.
And it's
so
chic.
And this is the only guide out right now that's easily accessible and searchable. Is Meiji's guide. And Meiji makes these mechanics look way scarier and more complicated than they actually are. Just because of the MS Paint doodles.
So she got to get them out quick.
Yeah, she did rush this thing out and had it out like week 1. But yeah. I had not a whole lot else to my week. As a system and a new way of doing Deep Dungeons, I both do and don't like it. I do like that it is something you can progress through, you can learn, you can figure out what all the mob types do, how to best pull them and approach situations, and when to use palms is much clearer, what the big danger mobs are, like the Harambes, and what you need and figure out where they are and where to save palms. I like that the bosses all have full mechanics that you have to learn and pay attention to. And all that stuff is nice. I think a few things, hopefully, for the next Deep Dungeon they take into consideration. If they're going to make solo players start from floor 1, do not make the respawn rate on floors 1 through 20 as ridiculous as it is right now. Please. Because the amount of times I've got stuck on a 3-floor room on a low-damage class, trying it on a tank or something, is insane. Just because something with proximity aggro will keep respawning in that room.
That parade of dogs that we had the other day.
Yeah.
Where they just kept marching into the room one after another.
Yeah, that was when the respawn rate's at its lowest, too. There were just a ton of patrols in that room, in that floor. You get floors like that sometimes. They're pretty rare. But, yeah, like, we only saw a few Thunder Beasts on that set. That's the patrol for the later half of that floor set that we were just on. And they're particularly dangerous because of their sight tail that you cannot see the cat's bar for, and you can't see a telegraph for, and their animation is very subtle. And I was expecting that to be what actually wiped us before the Harambes, because I'm on point with Harambe searching right now. My brain is in anti-Harambe mode.
Looking for gorillas around every corner.
Yeah, but we just got a whole bunch of Kunoichis instead of Thunder Beasts.
Can argue.
Yeah, so yeah, we got a really good floor layout there. I like all the bosses in here. I think they're all appropriate for the most part and scale to the difficulty of what you're doing. And I like that some of them will focus on one or two really challenging mechanics, relatively speaking, of course, for, we're not talking savage difficulty tier mechanics here, but relatively difficult mechanics just that scale up appropriately for the floor you're on. You go from while the floor 30 boss is very elaborate, nothing it does is outright lethal. You can sit there and have a dragon head chew on you at like 50 Aether Pool and still be fine with like 3 or 4 bone stacks. If you got a demi-clone, you're fine. Even though it has a whole lot of different ways it can spawn those dragon heads and a whole lot of different patterns they can come out. And I like how Twitania is basically how to deal with Twister. And they just, instead of giving her all the weird mechanics she has in her fight, they just focus on Twister. And her dive bomb isn't targeted on a player, which is nice. And then they go to the Chimera. And what I really like about the Chimera boss, he's probably my favorite boss in there, because Chimeras are rather infamous in deep dungeons. Because they're always a very dangerous mob whenever they show up. And they're always proximity aggro. And they can't be multi-pulled because of the nature of their AoEs, and they just hit really hard, and they're proximity aggro, and they're fat, so they block a whole lot of places what you're trying to get to. And the floor 50 boss just takes the idea of the Chimera and tunes it up to a full-blown what Cutter's Cry wishes its Chimera was, with needing to read the cast bar for whether it's Thunderous Cold or ice lightning breath or ice lightning dash or whatever to see what order it's going to cast the stuff, and it has the left and right breaths that you need to look out for. It's just a good boss. It feels, nothing in it's too hard at all, but it just feels like a good fun boss fight to do. And I like the follow-up boss after it, the floor 60 boss with the Minotaur. The Minotaur is not very fun the first few times you do him, but he gets more fun later because you find out a whole lot of ways you can cheat. Because the pattern is only one of 2 patterns. And once you identify the patterns and break them down, you can find ways to cheat the Minotaur to make it easier and to make it go faster. And I always like fights that have learn more fun tricks as you go in it, and the Minotaur is just full of those. With his octuple slash and how to bait out his knockback or something instead of one of his swipes. Or how to bait a swipe instead of a swing. So I like him. I like the kitty cat boss we just did. It's a very tense fight the whole way through, but I imagine it'll get less fun the more I do him. I've only beat him 4 times. But the kitty cat boss we did, he's just a very tense fight with how tight some of those safe spots are, even though the mechanics themselves are not very complicated. And I don't know how I feel about the Hydra yet, since I've only killed him twice, and once was in a group. But he's an interesting boss that you have to pay attention to stuff the whole fight, and it's not going to be the same every time. Because he's going to do different breaths every single time. So the bosses, I think, are all great. I love the ideas they've run with these bosses, and I want to see them do more of that. I'm not sure how I feel about the way they handle trash. Because a lot of Deep Dungeon is how you clear the floors and deal with the debuffs. And because everything is so lethal in here, with its telegraphs, it is very clear when to use what palms to deal with the scenario that's presented to you. Like, if you get a mob that needs to die quickly, damage down or no abilities is a no-go. Or blinded. You've got to Serenity that. Or you've got to pop a Dread to clear the floor out so that you can get off it faster. Time isn't really an issue on these floors because there is no impossible mob. impossible mobs on the previous sets for solo players were things like the Anzu that I that I am perpetually reminded exists whenever I go back into Palace of the Dead and get that high, which is just a big mob you cannot pull solo. It will just kill you. You have no way to reasonably deal with it outside of lucky crits during Red Mage Burst. Is the only way to possibly kill it. And you're gambling. It either demands a commander response, so you have to witching it or something, or use a rage, or you just can't pull it. But the problem is there's so many of them because they're a common enemy on the floor that you have to be very, very careful with how you proceed through the floors. There's nothing like that in Eureka Orthos. Everything is pullable solo. Heaven on High has a different problem to Eureka Orthos. People say Heaven on High is still easier than Eureka Orthos just because once you get familiar and really good with deep dungeon mechanics while solo, and you've just practiced a lot, Heaven on High has floor clears instead of demi-clones. Like, you can
Well,
just
I mean, that basically means that if you can identify a bad situation, you can just make it go away.
Yeah, and you're invincible when you push it, and can use it as an oh no button or a way to deal with a floor you know is going to be particularly bad, and you use a site and you see it's really fat. Like the Magicite just makes problems completely go away. There is no dealing with it. That said, Doga and Onion Knight are very, very strong in Eureka Orthos. The only difference between Heaven on High and Eureka Orthos in that respect is the fact the bosses in Heaven on High, in general, are not that fun. They are mostly pretty boring, and they don't do anything, and most of their crap isn't lethal. And furthermore, the trash hits like a tank truck in Heaven on High on the higher floors, and there is no super lethal mechanics until like floor 80 or 90. You can get away with getting clipped by some stuff in Heaven on High and still make it. So it's interesting, and that because the auto attack damage on mobs is so high, knowing the approximate amount of damage each mob will do is a huge change in design philosophy when you're comparing it to Eureka Orthos, where comparatively, there were mobs in there where I had to turn on my sustaining potion. If this was Heaven on High at floor 80 plus or something, I would have to have sustaining potions running the entire time if I was solo. But in there, I had aggro on everything, and I only had to pop them on a few select mobs that I knew did a lot of damage or a mimic.
Yep.
So that means there's a element of randomness that the people that like that kind of thing will really get out of Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High, and you're seeing them return to it as soon as they finish Eureka Orthos. Like they did Eureka Orthos and they're done with it, and they went back to Palace and Heaven on High. And I think that's how most players will treat it. For me, I'm not playing these things to do them randomly every single time. I'm doing them to progress through them. So I actually prefer the Eureka Orthos model. I want to go through and I want to learn it and be able to do it, and I would prefer there be some randomness is okay. You know, what palms you have can make a run really good or really bad, but I don't mind the little bit of randomness with and the risk reward incurred with things like the gold chest mimics. That's okay. But if I know the enemies on the floor, I like being able to just deal with them. Now, there's a whole lot of deep dungeon players that don't like that. In fact, most deep dungeon players don't like that. And it's turning Eureka Orthos into a one and done. But for the vast majority of people, even people that are attempting solo clears, they're going to get their one solo clear and be done. And so I don't see Eureka Orthos' model being a problem. I think it's going to work just fine as it is. I do worry that a lot of the talk about how puzzly it is, figuring out all the enemies and how much of a mechanic and memorization check it is from the deep dungeon community is going to push a lot of people to drop Eureka Orthos once they get their clear that would otherwise still enjoy continuing to run it and taking their friends through it. And we'll give the impression to Squeenix that maybe they should go back to the older model, which I really hope they don't do. I think they are moving in a much better direction with Eureka Orthos with Deep Dungeons.
Well, if people are willing to go back and do Palace of the Dead and Heaven on High, I don't see any reason why you need to replace that. Like, why go back to that old model if people are still happy with the original ones?
Yeah, this is a deep dungeon for people that want to have something to progress through.
Because honestly, I enjoy this one much more than the previous two, simply because I don't. It's not a matter of running through and hitting drill every time you see something. Like,
Yeah.
you actually can lay some DPS on the mobs and interact with them a little bit. It's not a matter of just trying to steamroll them as fast as humanly possible.
Yeah, and because in general fewer mobs spawn in Eureka Orthos, time is generally not an issue, or you can make up for time if you fall behind fairly easily by noticing that you're low on time. This happens to me all the time. I'll cut it close a lot of the time, but generally speaking, I know how much damage I can deal and how much health the enemies have and what palms I need to blow to speed myself up, or if I'm fine, they can go explore the floor. These are things that are very easy to gauge in Eureka Orthos. The one caveat to the way Eureka Orthos does things, I mentioned the respawns in the early floors before. They could stand to tone down the health a little bit in those early floors before you get your full toolkit, because it feels like they went through here on God mode on the early floors, or at least just inserted themselves at level 90, because some of those mobs have way too much HP for some classes just starting the run. And you
Astrologian.jpg.
Yeah, any of the tanks, past any of the healers, even some of the DPS, really just those floor 10 to 20 mobs could stand with about a 15% health reduction. Just enough to get it so we could get over the respawn threshold if they're going to keep it at what it is, and enough so they don't feel quite as tedious to pull if you're starting to fall behind on levels because you're clearing floors too fast. Just something like that. The beginning floors just feel really bad to go through in Eureka Orthos when you've done them the 50th time. And if you were doing solo runs, you'd see that more and more. It just those first 20 floors are not fun. And on the first set of floors, the literal only mechanic that you have to worry about is the bombs. Everything else is a boring telegraph. So yeah. In addition to that floor set being boring, it just it takes forever to chew through it. It also doesn't help that no interesting palms, or none of the good palms, can drop until floor 7. So for the first 6 floors, you can only get strength, steel, affluence, fortune, safety, and sight. All the good palms like raising, dread, etc., all drop only after floor 7. I don't even know if you can get demi-clones before floor 7. So the first 6 floors especially just feel like a slog. Because you're not getting anything to make it go faster or do anything. And so I'll blow palms willy-nilly to get out of those first 20 floors. Just because they're so painful these right now. But yeah. Other than that, I like the new model. I think that they're moving definitely in the right direction. And I'll be more than happy to take my friends through it once I finish the solo run. This will be the first deep dungeon I solo. I don't think there's any question about that. As long as I keep plugging away at it, so that my knowledge of what all the mobs do doesn't fall out of my head, I can probably get this clear. And now that I'm past the Harambe wall, I've just got to watch the video for the next floor set a lot and memorize the boss and go do it. Like as long as I can get in there, practice, and make sure I know what I'm doing after watching the video, I can get in there and figure it out.
Right, so I think it's enough of that topic probably because we've been dwelling on it quite a bit.
Yep. So that's that. We should. Do you want to take a break before we move on to the news?
I need the bathroom badly.
All right, if we need a break, we'll take a quick break.
We'll be right back after some music, folks. And we're back. So we've been hinting at something on and off throughout the show. And before we announce what that is, I think it's better to cover the story that precedes it. And Vaul, you actually posted this one. And
yeah, I posted it sort of in the hopes that you knew more about it or something, because what I saw was mostly hearsay.
Mm-hmm.
Because I didn't really want to go and investigate it first person.
Yeah, I didn't download the app and go check myself, but yeah, you can give the quick 401 since I went and
Right.
rambled for the reason.
So, as we know, Crunchyroll is always trying to pick up mobile game properties and localize them in order to make a quick buck. And the latest one that they've picked up is a new Street Fighter one, Street Fighter Duel. But it's basically caused a huge amount of drama because, well, Crunchyroll are being Crunchyroll. And their reputation wasn't great to begin with, but a lot of people will simply see the Street Fighter name, right? And that will be enough for them. They'll want to poke at it. But they've basically done every kind of scummy thing under the sun. And so the way what people are reporting is that they had a launch package that said that you would get Chun-Li and her EX move if you bought the package at launch, and a lot of people bought it, and then they claimed that they were a mistake and they removed the EX move from the advertisement. So, and of course, this was after people had already spent their money based on the false advertising, but they just, they didn't do any compensation or anything. They just didn't deliver at all on what they advertised. So, yeah. And this was just the beginning. They took some characters and they buffed them to make them super powerful, and then sold them as purchasable. So basically, the whole thing is structured around buying power now, because your best, if you're going up against a team run by somebody who's spent money on it, basically you're unbeatable. They are unbeatable unless you have your own one that you've spent money to power up. And so on, so they made it a money-powered game, and there's a variety of other sort of similar sorts of things, basically to the point where free-to-play is virtually impossible, because there are other people in the player pool who are not free-to-play, and they will completely dominate.
Yeah, and from what I read, a big thing they did. This game apparently has a mechanic that reminds me of Genshin Impact with duplicates, where duplicates radically empower your character. And they straight up changed one version of Ken that was apparently a special event type of character that had no duplicates available. You only got one of him, to be able to have duplicates of him, and you could buy him in the shop. And this completely changed how the mechanics of this character worked, and made him even more busted than before. But now you had to pay a crap load of money to get him to that point. So yeah, not good. This I don't know what's happened with Street Fighter Duel and their license with it. Did you see anything? I don't think anything's changed. I think they still got it.
I don't think anything has changed there.
Yeah. So this was super scummy, but we expect scummy from Crunchyroll. However, I was hopeful because we had played a Crunchyroll game with Pinecone, or Princess Connect Redive. That because side games held a gun to their head and said you're going to release the game exactly as it came out in Japan, with no changes whatsoever. They were that it was going to be fine, and it couldn't possibly fall into this this trap. And in fact, before this next bit happened, Vaul actually posted, and he said, "Crunchyroll publishing anything that isn't Pinecone," and links the article about that.
Well, they didn't do anything to Pinecone, did they?
Nope. They just decided out of the blue, a few weeks after this debacle with Street Fighter, that they need to abruptly end service for Princess Connect.
Yes, there was absolutely no foreshadowing. Everything.
They put out a new player starter pack literally a few days before the announcement came through.
Yep.
the development side of this clearly got blindsided. Nope. My Bluetooth device on Windows just had a heart attack. Yeah, I need to swap controllers. That means this controller's battery's dying. But yeah, so abruptly, April 31st, or not April 31st, sorry, March 31st. Princess Connect's Twitter puts up a thing, despite announcing new stuff coming out and putting out a new player starter pack, literally a few days before, that Princess Connect Redive is entering end of service and will be taken offline at the end of the month.
Yep. No warning, no lead up, no rumors, no rumbling, no dramas. Just bang.
Just bam, nothing. And that's all the official statement and information we have from Crunchyroll at the moment. We don't know why for sure, but we have our speculation as to why. And the community is coming more and more around to it as the days go on. And there's another one going around that I don't put a whole lot of stock in. So I'll start with the one the community cooked up. Somebody started throwing around a chart of the revenue from February and March and saying Princess Connect ain't making that much money. Now, number one, the chart they're throwing around is misleading immediately because the guy that made the chart said it's only for Android sales. It doesn't account for iOS at all. So the $180,000 to $120,000 number you're seeing floating around is only Android sales. It has no sales from iOS, where I imagine the vast majority of purchases are. Number two, we're in a beat time for the West in Princess Connect. The big finale of Part 1 just finished. They're just starting to amp up Part 2 of the story. We had our big, Solomon Grand Temple of Time thing in December of last year. And we are just ramping up Part 2 of the story. So they're taking a little bit longer to put stuff together on the JP side when this was in development. And they had a beat month where we had a double event that was an Idolmaster collab. Idolmaster has no purchase in the West. Crunchyroll should know this. Idolmaster may be one of the big 3 idol anime in Japan, but in the West, especially Cinderella Girls, which, unless people have watched the anime for some reason, or played the Japanese rhythm mobile game that has no English translation anywhere on the internet, they just don't have any attachment to Idolmaster. So nobody's going to roll on the Idolmaster characters unless they wanted Ren for PvP meta very briefly.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say she was terribly meta. Like, it made no impact on PvP broadly.
Yeah. So she had some niche setups that she could be really good in, but
or you could use one of the mainstream ones that work perfectly well.
Yeah, there was no reason to dump money for her. So,
Abo.
Well, Rin is his super waifu, so it's his Discord avatar. So that wasn't going to sell, and Crunchyroll should have known the months that after the big event, when it's mostly rerun banners and they're setting up the next part of the story, and we got Idolmaster of all things coming around, and people still have all the free gems you gave them for the New Year's anniversary. The game ain't going to make a whole lot of money that month or the next month. But yeah, around the corner,
what you're looking to pick your real high revenue months to be when you do something that really shakes up the meta, and the 100% of the focus on the meta right now is on farming shards from very hard mode, basically.
Yeah, and next. The meta shakeups from the gacha and the characters that people actually wanted were right around the corner. We had the Twinkle Wish Princess forms that were all coming out. Those were all going to be really big headliners that were going to sell. You had Labrista coming out. You had all the summer characters coming out, because it doesn't matter how good they are, they're going to sell.
Everyone was going to roll for Princess Kokoro. Yeah,
Princess Coco is one of the meta-defining units of the game. And they were going to make bank during the summer months. But this is not taken into account from the people that say revenue was the reason. the player count had only gone up since then. Princess Connect had been growing quite a bit over time, and mostly through word of mouth, actually, and the anime, because goodness knows Crunchyroll did no marketing for it.
But even in spite of that, it was still like probably their strongest performing mobile game property.
Yeah. So I don't buy the revenue argument for 1 minute. You can post what are the absolute lowest points for the game, and say, "Hey, look, it didn't make much revenue, and that's why it fell apart." You're not making a real strong case if you're posting known points the game is going to be low. The developers and the bean counters should have been well aware of. And they should also have been well aware that the big months are coming right around the corner. So I don't buy the revenue argument at all.
If they were having a dip in revenue while you had waifus, then you got a problem.
Oh, yeah, or during a Labrista banner if she barely sold any for whatever reason. That's the time that the revenue argument might have some merit. If they made like 200,000 during that banner month, yeah, maybe then revenue's a problem. This wasn't that month. This was a beat month where we've had reruns and Idolmaster characters, and that's been it. And Chieru, who is awful. And
Poor Chieru. Yeah, that was just a badly designed character whose mechanics simply doesn't function.
Yeah, and you got Uni, who was good, but people are still writing their free gems from the anniversary. So
not just that though. Uni is definitely a buffer who will work well with other things in contexts to come. Like once the single target physical attacker meta is like really solidified, then she'll be more relevant. But she by herself, you can't see value in Uni. She only develops value over time in meta contexts.
Yeah, and unless you're attached to the girls from the academy, which they're fun, I could see people getting
I think I liked the last academy story very much. Like I think that the interactions of the three are very entertaining.
Yeah, I could see people pulling for that, but Chieru, I never attached to her.
Nobody attached to Chieru, but that's the point.
Yeah,
like she's definitely a very niche preference.
but she was one of the two banners up, and she was the later banner, so it's not going to sell anything.
Yeah, well, it's not only that, but you've got to keep in mind as a localized version, everybody's got Clairvoyance EX. Everybody knows Chieru's value is low already.
Yeah.
Nobody has to math it out. There are any number of people on YouTube who do character analyses, mechanically speaking, who can tell you, oh, well, Chieru is just not important, so only roll if you waifu her.
Yeah. And, man, those channels are posting some... They're going through the normal stages of grief.
Yeah, definitely. There's definitely a lot of grieving taking place.
So, yeah, that's been the revenue side of the argument. I think the much more likely scenario, and me and Vaul thought this both together at the same time last night, was what Crunchyroll pulled with Street Fighter worried Cygames to a point where they pulled the plug.
Yeah, now even though Cygames does have a stranglehold control over what Crunchyroll do and do not do with the Princess Connect property, if Crunchyroll decide to behave like they've got no scruples, they will still be able to do something before Cygames can stop them. Cygames can only punish them after the fact if they breach the rules.
And
by that point, it will be too late for their reputation.
Yeah, the brand will be damaged.
So, what the Street Fighter debacle demonstrates is what Crunchyroll with no scruples looks like. And this suddenly will have become a clear and present danger to their brand.
Yeah. And I would not put it past this to have gotten as bad as Cygames would have had a rep call Crunchyroll about this, and the Crunchyroll California Blue Hairs were California Blue Hairs to them.
I mean, I'm not going to speculate on what their interactions would have been like, because to me it seems more like legal sent a runner down to the mobile game department and told them to pull the plug because Cygames has a gun to their head now. It's like, no, you are going to get rid of this. We are in control of the property. We say what you can and can't do with it, and we're saying you pull the plug right now. Like, that's the only way this happens.
Yeah, they could have just been worried that having Crunchyroll's name on the stupid game, even if they didn't think Crunchyroll would do anything with Pinecone, they could have just been worried that having Crunchyroll's name on it would damage the Cygames brand.
Because now everybody knows Crunchyroll is synonymous with, ruined mobile games. Because that's what they've done historically, is they've ruined mobile games, and Pinecone has been a sort of a standout for not being ruined, simply because Crunchyroll's control is so limited. But now that you've got all of this much bigger, worse debacle looming over top, like, why have your name associated with that? It's too much of a risk.
Yeah. I hope Cygames in future with its stuff, because I love Cygames' model in every single game that I play. Even Shadowverse, which is a trading card game, is generous enough that if you actively play the game, you can build at least 1 or 2 meta decks every single season without having to spend a dime.
This take quite a while to open.
Yeah, they do. Cygames is incredibly generous. And
they've managed to strike that sort of rare balance. Only a few gacha games managed to do it, where it feels like they're being generous to you, and you genuinely do have a lot of power given to you for free, while still making it a lucrative prospect to lure in the whales.
Yeah,
without giving the whales a position in the community that makes them unbeatable.
Yeah, what Pinecone did specifically, their model was, if you played and did your dailies every day and you did as much of the events as you could, you would have more jewels than you knew what to do with. And I used refreshes, a ton of refreshes, all the time to get more shards during triple drops, or more Sanctum Survey drops, or more Temple Trek drops, just to have a nice bank of them. And I was never in danger of falling below Spark threshold.
I had like 3.5 sparks banked when the notification went out, because I actually haven't logged in since they sent the notification, because it's just, I think I would start to feel depressed if I did, so I just haven't. But yeah, I had about 3.5 sparks banked. Like, I was planning to just roll to spark on whatever I felt like, basically, because I don't use a lot of refresh or anything like that. And because I happen to play in that way, it basically means I can have nearly any character I want, just because I say I want it. Which is not something you can get out of many gacha games.
But at the same time, the whales that wanted to save time mostly could get the daily jewel pack that also doubled your dungeon drops for 30 days. And they'd get 50 primo jewels a day plus double dungeon drops, I think.
Yeah, that was reasonably popular, but the most of the whaling that I saw was for those people who want to enter the meta on day one. Like, they just going to buy out their 5-star or whatever.
Yeah, they needed the divine amulets, or they needed to pull the new character, even if it's a perm.
Or they want very hard shards on day one.
Yeah, and they just need to keep pulling that gacha. Yeah, that's the scenario for Mega Whaling, but the number of people that do that is incredibly. It's still the lucrative whale amount. That number won't change between games.
That's the thing, though, right? That number is what makes those games viable. Yeah. Games will never be viable on free-to-players, and they'll never be viable on dolphins. It's those people who go crazy. They're the ones who keep it viable.
Yeah, and Pinecone had its contingent of them. And I imagine proportionally it was probably about the same. Pinecone didn't demand as much from them as some other games, but they were still there. And Pinecone's population was quite high. And the fact that you could, the casual player or the moderate player, I guess I was a little above casual because I did play every day. But We didn't do any kind of hardcore stuff though. I did some on level EX Tower Lunas, but that was it. And
I didn't do anything particularly significant. Like I was sort of like I was slightly above the regular casual player in the sense that I did log in every day, but I just logged in every day and spent all of the stamina that was generated during that day. I made no special effort to climb the arena ladder. I didn't make any special effort in clan battles, as can be seen from the trivial amount of damage I did. But I still had fun with it because I was there mainly for the story, because I liked the way it was presented. I thought that it was really, really well produced and enjoyable to watch. So, yeah. But, I mean, ultimately the reason why I didn't spend any money on it was not because I didn't need to, because I didn't need to spend any money on Azure Lane either, and I did. I didn't spend any money on Pinecone because I knew that some of it would go to Crunchyroll.
Yeah. Well, I'm sure side games would take their cut in the licensing fee at the very minimum. I didn't want to give any money to them, so.
Which makes me wonder to what extent I'm guilty for the shutdown, because like I just was never going to spend any money on it. Like I was one of those people who was intending to take the game for granted as a free-to-player ad infinitum. I was never planning to spend money on it because I did not want any money to go to Crunchyroll because they're awful. They do. The only reason that Pinecone wasn't awful was because their control was severely curtailed.
Yeah. And Crunchyroll still found new and creative and fun ways to F it up at every opportunity. They still, to this day, have cheaters in Clan Battle they have to weed out manually every month. And it takes them weeks to post the Clan Battle results. In JP, it takes a few days. And what else did they do? The recent event rerun that came out, you just couldn't progress to the second half of the event on day one. The game would just lock when whatever character you had went through the little teleporting animation. It would just black screen and you get stuck there.
Oh.
They broke the Master Coin shop on at least 3 occasions by forgetting to refresh the shards.
I remember seeing that, yeah. That happened just recently, didn't it?
Yeah, that happened again recently. And how else have they screwed the pooch? The missing mana from the support list just went poof. That one time.
Oh, right, yeah. That did happen as well, didn't it?
With no reimbursement, from what I remember. And, just Crunchyroll found ways to try and make it frustrating by just being incompetent.
I mean, that's always been their MO, though, really. Like, being useless is sort of what they do. Like, they've always been bad at everything that they do. Like, they are ultimately, they're just a fan sub outfit who tried to go legit. And they're infested with all the worst kinds of people.
Yeah, they're in California.
They at least when they were a fan sub outfit, they were only as repulsive as every other fan sub outfit's people. But once they got the impression that they were important, they just took on the usual California tech attitude of hating all of their customers.
Yeah.
And when you hate the people you're serving, you only serve them in this particular way where you don't care about the quality of your service.
And just to emphasize this point, I posted an article here that they threw up on March 30th, the day before the shutdown announcement. That is, what happens when a game you love goes away? Talking about Love Live. One of the Love Live games' original version is going away, but is a terrible comparison because its sequel is literally about to come out.
That's just...
Yeah. If their contempt for you was not made clear and how juvenile they think you are, that article should make it very, very clear. The fact that it even exists. The content of the article is irrelevant. The headline is what's important here for once. The fact that they would title something like that the day before should just highlight everything.
It's really kind of condescending, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even if you take away the context of them going to discontinue their most popular game immediately afterwards, it's still kind of condescending.
Yeah. Most definitely. So, impact on the player base. Most of them are going through the normal stages of grief and haven't quite reached the deviant set that I'm at. But a few of them have got stuck in the perpetually angry at Crunchyroll phase, which I'm quite happy to see. And at least the top half of all the clans in Clan Battle banded together. And for the top 10 spots, to say F you Crunchyroll by changing all their guild names.
Crunchyroll?
Well, they're making fun of Crunchy.
I know, but... Okay.
I like my word better that I can't say because I'm an American. You can, Fern.
I'm not going to. I'm not going to.
Yeah. So,
Now would. Can't have it.
So, and then the bottom half are thanks for all the fun clan battles from them to their other clan battle mates, presumably. I doubt that's aimed at Crunchyroll. Because goodness knows that Crunchyroll screw the clan battle community. Even people that just wanted to play at a level where they didn't have to take control of everybody's account and try their best, they still had to wait so many weeks to get results. I feel bad for that tier of player. But yeah, the community has in general it because it was so sudden. It's like watching it's not a perfect comparison because it's a video game, but in terms of loss, it's like watching somebody you're really close to get hit by a truck on the side of the road one day that you were just making plans with not 2 hours ago. Like that's the kind of abruptness we're talking when talking about the loss of the game setting in.
Yeah, normally these things are announced that they're going to be shuttered like some months in advance. Not the very same month, the day before April Fool's Day, just so that everybody has to go through the denial phase.
Yeah, the extended denial of is it a bad April Fool's joke. That cope was obviously not true from the beginning. Although it was the first thing I said when Abo sent me the link, sent me the picture.
It's the first thing I think a lot of people say.
But it didn't take me 2 seconds to go, wait a minute, it's not April 1st anywhere in the world yet. Yeah. So yeah, Pinecone is dead. And I don't know what I'll replace it with. I had a particular attachment to Pinecone. I still found myself when I was going to the bathroom or going to just go sit down somewhere for a bit and whip out my phone, looking for the Pinecone button.
Open game.
And I push it. I'm like, oh, all I can do is get sad now because I'll log in and I guess I'll see who's posted in the clan chat. See everybody saying goodbye.
Like, what am I supposed to do when I'm half asleep on the can in the morning? I can't play Pinecone anymore. What am I going to do? Doom scroll on Twitter?
Yeah, like Pinecone had a niche for active playtime during my day. That while the game wasn't complicated, it wasn't particularly interactive. It still filled that niche really well, and I liked it there, and I didn't want it to move. So I'm quite angry at Crunchy for pulling this so suddenly like this. Like literally an hour before, me and Abel were flipping through the unique equipment coming out, going, "Oh, Wado Cook is going to be really good when she gets her new unique equipment. Look at that magic attack steroid she gets on the whole team." And then, not an hour or two later, into service announcement. And it is so odd. Everybody is like, oh, they probably knew. No, they didn't know well in advance. The dev team, at the very least, didn't have a clue. The marketing team probably didn't have a clue because they were still announcing new crap. And there's a particular... And, yeah, it's just... it doesn't make any sense. This had to have been legal, running down to the head of department and going, you need to shutter this right now because Cygames is about to drop a lawyer on our butt. So in this picture we're painting, it may sound like you can blame Cygames for this, and you can be I guess it's okay to be a little miffed at them for being protected, but it's their IP and their company brand. They can't have that damaged, and if they have that, Pinecone, is successful and fun as it is in the US, is one of the gangbuster mobile games in Japan. The game makes gazillions of dollars. It competes with FGO monthly on beat months.
It makes perfect sense that they're going to want to protect that at all costs.
So they don't want their brand or their image being damaged by Crunchyroll at all. And from a business standpoint, it is the perfectly logical thing. If you see somebody you've entrusted your IP to acting like a clown and potentially attaching that clownery to your IP, to call and pull the plug. It doesn't mean it's not going to tick your fans off that happen to be using the product to get shuttered. But I can at least understand why you would do that. So I don't harbor much ill will, or any ill will really, to Cygames for doing whatever they did, because it almost certainly had to have been them that caused this. But because this is all on Crunchyroll, they didn't have to be scummy. They could have done things, normally, like sane people. But they didn't. They had to get greedy and just try and do a cash grab on that Street Fighter game. So, Crunchyroll, I hope in future, with all your new IPs that you come out with, any new games you come out with, not Crunchyroll, sorry, Cygames, I hope you do what you did with Granblue and just hire a localization team for them if you think they're going to do well or they start taking off. And just do it in-house like you did with Granblue. I would go through Granblue if your interface wasn't jank Web 1.0 weirdness.
Yeah, and you can, of course, get the Gourmet Guild girls in Granblue as well.
Yeah.
Yep.
You can get them right now as part of a crossover event quest. In fact, you can get them permanently because they do the side story thing they were starting to roll out in Pinecon. Was a feature that had long since been implemented in Granblue, where past events come back and you can get the characters and the unlocks and stuff. And just about a year, a little bit after the rerun, a few months after the first rerun or so, they would release the event on side story. So yeah,
he is hoping that Cygames will out Pinecone independently.
I think that's hopium.
I think it is hopium, but yeah, I don't think they were actually drawing quite enough money from it.
For them to do it, it would be a bit more expensive doing it in-house than Crunchyroll, than a localizer just buying the rights to it. Because yeah, they'll have to keep an eye on it with that, and hiring in-house people in Japan is way more expensive than just licensing the thing out and literally just saying, pay us a licensing fee and give us money. They would have to hire people, set up the work for it, and the Granblue localization teams are all small and swamped with work. They don't have extra people. So I don't see Crunchyroll making the business decision to do that. Probably the best you can hope for is no. I don't think that's realistic either. I was gonna say that you could hope somebody else can start it again as a better publisher.
I mean, it's happened before, but I don't think it'll have any suitors. Yeah, because it's got Crunchyroll stench all over it now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And once people have dropped a product once, like, because there are going to be two types of people, right? People who will swear off Crunchyroll and never play again, who are going to quit, and other people who will become JP refugees.
Yeah.
So the JP refugees will have a game to play, and the people that have quit have already quit Pinecone once. So it's going to be the most that you can do is pick up those same people again most of the time, and you won't get all of them. So like, you're already onto a losing thing, because you can't build up the same hype the second time round. Like, if you were going to run a proper marketing campaign and build up hype, it's still a game that has already been run once and run into the ground. So, yeah, I don't think that there's a commercial argument for somebody else to pick it up, even though, like, theoretically it could be done, but there's not a commercial argument for it.
And even then, there's no incentive for Crunchyroll to hand over the data.
Yeah,
Our character data and account data.
The only way that would happen is if the Psy Games decided to invest in doing it themselves.
Yeah.
And that would be as a matter of them trying to redeem the IP because they believed it was worth redeeming in the West. And the Psy Games just don't give the West a lot of attention most of the time.
Yeah, they've been giving it more attention, but this.
Yeah, but I mean, you got to keep in mind they are a Japanese company. They see the West largely as a monolith, and now they've been burned by Crunchyroll. So their attitude towards the West is going to be sour to some extent.
Yeah. So, we'll have to see. Some more news and insights might come out. I rather doubt it. I imagine it's really embarrassing for Crunchyroll on a level that they don't want to discuss. So we're not gonna hear about anything from them. And Cygames is a Japanese company; they never air their laundry. So yeah, it's sad. I don't know if I'll replace it with another mobile game. TBH, I might just get out of the mobile game scene. I don't want to take doom scrolling on Twitter as my alone with the phone and nothing to do habit, but I'll find something.
Twitter spiral is just, you don't want to go.
I mean, but that's the reason why I started playing Pinecone on the can, was because the alternative was doom scrolling on Twitter. I didn't want to do it.
Yeah, it's sad. But this was a known risk going into it. While we're shocked by the abruptness, I don't think either of us, me and Vaul particularly, are surprised that it happened.
No, like I expected it to happen. I just sort of hoped against hope that it would take it long enough for me to lose interest in the game first because it had become bland, rather than it just getting sprung on me. Because I had hoped that surely if Psy Games have a tight enough leash on them that they can't screw it up badly enough to actually lose the license. But no, they clearly have. It didn't occur to me that it could be their behaviour outside of Pinecone itself that caused it to happen.
Yeah, I always expected. Oh, that is a. Yeah, I always expected that they would try and sneak something past Psy Games and get caught red-handed, and that would be the.
Yeah, something like that is more along the lines of what I expected. They release a new player starter pack or something that's incredibly predatory.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's been the news that's dominated my mind. I am sad to see it go. I'm mostly angry at Crunchyroll, and I don't think I think I am going to be forever stalled at this stage of grief of just angry at Crunchyroll.
Yeah, well, because they did this. There's no doubt in my mind they did this. They've done this so many times before that the idea that it was something that just happened out of their hands, like it just became so unprofitable they couldn't do it. Although there is one argument in favor of the profitability thing, and that is that they run their company like old Twitter and old Facebook and old Google.
They do.
And that their costs for maintaining teams are astronomically high. That there is no way that they can actually maintain those employees.
Yeah.
Because they are paying for them to have like free food and free massages and to basically do no work every day.
As far as I'm aware, Crunchyroll does subscribe to the adult daycare model.
Yeah, and the localization that was done for Pinecone could be done by 1 or 2 coders and 2 to 3 translators tops.
Yeah, so the thing is that the scale of the project, given what they have to work with and the amount of support that I bet they have from Psy Games, who clearly are very, very invested in their game being presented well, suggests to me that it's like the scale of the operation required to operate Pinecone is the sort of scale of the operation that is required to, run a small rogue MMO server, and nothing much more than that.
Yeah, because all they got to do is reformat the text so that it wraps in the text boxes properly.
which they
Okay.
never get right.
Yeah, there's always one mess up on that about once per chapter that some text box is effed up. And
Or they've left in a bunch of weird characters, or it goes italic and then never stops going italic, or whatever.
Yeah, clearly some guy Russian because he spent too long at the sushi bar. And you got just misspellings all over the place. They're always funny when people post collages of them. And you got translating, you got text formatting, you got UI formatting. Whenever new UI stuff comes out, which does take a proper coder, you do have to draw the art asset in English and get it applied properly and scaled correctly and implemented into the program and all that. But that's still not that much work that 2 or 3 guys couldn't do it if they were working, a normal work week. and all that. So there just ain't a whole lot that goes into a localization like Pinecone, even though it does have a relatively large amount of text to translate, because it does have the events every month. But if you have a 9 to 5 translator, you got 2 or 3 of them going, that's all you need. There ain't that much text in the world. And Pinecone doesn't exactly have the weird writing that Nasu does.
All very just light and silly.
It's very just Pinecone.
Yeah, if you can understand puns in Japanese, you can translate it.
So,
They're puns.
yeah, bye, Desune. I will not be going over to JP. Abo's talking about going over to JP. Cool on him. I'm not going to.
Yeah.
I do hope somebody will do like a nice fan subbed version of the story, so one day I can watch it. But I don't have the heart for it. Like, I mean, it's just it would be easy to make the argument that I'm well shot of another gacha game. Like I did ponder going back to Azure Lane now that this is over, but I'm well behind on the Azure Lane meta, like well behind, and it's hard work anyway because that game is very complicated to know the ins and outs of. And I suppose the other one that is always hovering out there is Blue Archive, because Blue Archive is basically functions identically to Pinecone, except it's in 3D. But I hear that it has a questionable fan base. Well, I would probably be glad to know the names of.
Pinecone had the Kyoka fan base.
Everybody in the Blue Archive fan base is the Kyoka fan base, though. That's the problem.
Oh, that's worrying.
Like they have a very skewed age curve in the cast.
That U curve is U, the capital letter U. So yeah. Oh, I don't really have much more to say on it. That's been what's been dominating my thoughts for most of the week as far as the news goes.
All right.
You got anything else on it, Vaul?
No. I've just been sort of idly composing in my mind a version of the speech that Antony gives after Caesar's death in Julius Caesar, except about Pinecone.
All right.
I don't think there's any other major news that drew my attention quite the same as that one, because that it hit relatively close to home since I've invested a lot of hours in it. I spent a lot of time watching the story and enjoying it. But yeah, I mean the big event, I suppose, for the broader games industry was Sega and Tencent and Ubisoft bailing on E3.
Yeah, so this is what got my attention. E3 kind of had a bit of a rough time this week. They cancelled for the year. There is going to be no E3 this year.
Which I'm actually happy about. It means we can just watch the pressers we can just watch the pressers we want and cover the stuff in them as they happen, and write off the pressers we don't. We don't have to cover E3 as a whole event. It's and E3 itself was kind of the idea of the big major press show season is still around, but we don't need it all to be under one event and umbrella.
Although
Well, I
that-
mean, the thing is that the reason E3 ceased to exist is because it was a press show. Like when E3 was a gamer convention of it in its own right, where the various people attending were pitching directly to their audience and to people who were in direct contact with the audience, then E3 made sense and was successful. But E3 has steadily declined in influence and value year over year over year ever since. Like it's only now perhaps we're seeing over the past 5 or so years all the big names are dropping out, but this vector is the same one that they've been traveling ever since they went press only. There has been no increase in their influence or their value to the industry since they went press only, because as everybody should by now be aware, after all of the water that has gone under the bridge, the press are their own little cadre in their own little world that are basically unconnected to gamers as a whole. That's why every company dumps their money not into E3 but into quote influencers unquote, and into collaborations with the likes of HoloLive and Nijisanji, because that's how you do the same thing. You don't need a venue to do it like you did for E3 anymore, but it is a method of having people who are in direct contact with your audience do the pitching, as opposed to the press, who have nothing but contempt for the audience.
That said, however, just said in the death of E3, I doubt it's going to come back. It might try a bit of a ladder on.
But Keeley has been preparing for this day, has he not?
He has the Jeff Keighley Summer Edition, the Summer's Games Fest. It's still kind of small at the moment, but if Keighley plays his cards right, he could very well make a new E3, which will inevitably be the same.
I'm sort of coming around to Keighley. Like, as much as he's the Doritos Pope, like, I find it sort of endearing what a greasy scumbag he is.
Yeah, there's sort of a kind of a honest earnestness about his scumminess.
He's like, I don't know. I view him as like the games industry's cut me own throat dibbler.
A little bit, yeah. Get the same kind of vibe off him.
Like, he's definitely up to no good, but he's doing it in sort of like a really shallow, selfish way that doesn't really harm anybody.
Yeah, he's harming himself, and that's about it.
He did let Sonic Fox on stage that one time.
Yeah, we can't forgive him for that.
We can't forgive him for that. But
to be fair, he probably wakes up in a cold sweat every night thinking of it.
yeah, I don't think he's forgiven himself for that one.
Because remember, his reputation and image is the thing he cares about more than anything else. And he let Sonic Fox get in on that. That must haunt him.
Oh, man. I heard he was still mad about the stupid little kid that ran up there and said something about Bill Clinton's rabbi.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
because it's his image is the most important thing. He wants his reputation to be sterling because he wants to rub elbows with the great and good of Hollywood.
Oh, the loud and the noise.
Well, I mean, the skeevy attendees of Epstein's Island of Hollywood.
There you go.
The people that belong in a wood chipper of Hollywood.
There is no wood chipper big enough.
We can build it. I believe in the potential of humanity. We can find a way.
We just need a wood.
If we don't have one, we'll make it.
We will build it. Oh dear, this is going hot. So yeah, yeah.
I don't know. I quite like this mental image actually. I kind of want to keep it going.
So yeah, this I don't think E3 is going to come back from this. I think it's done now. But this year,
like Keighley is going to drive the stakes in.
Yes.
Like this is the day he's been waiting for. He is going to be marshalling all the resources he can right now to make sure that he steps into the spotlight in place of E3, either this year or the next.
I think it might be a bit too late to do it this year, but next year.
If he can put together the resources, he will do it this year. He might not be able to. That's the only question. I have no doubt that he's making phone calls as fast as he can.
Yes, definitely. Yeah, at the time, and this is the fun thing, is that at the time of the announcement of E3's cancellation this year, number of companies that had been confirmed as attending they'd lost all of the final attendees all in one hit. That was being Sega, Tencent.
It's not free. It's not free to be an attendee at E3.
No,
Like,
it's
you've got to offer
seriously
people
expensive.
something. You've got to have something on offer. You have to have something of value to get people to buy your product. And E3 is a product that they are selling to games companies.
And that
But
product,
people don't care about it anymore, because when people go on YouTube to look up E3 stuff to the extent that they do, it's always Bethesda press conference or Ubisoft press conference or whatever. They type that in. They don't type E3 in.
yeah, they might type E3
And
in just
even
to get
that,
the
most
conference.
people don't do that anymore. Like, that's my old boomer thinking. These days, most people will type in, like, Dr. Disrespect reacts to Expressor or whatever.
Yeah. There's no need for E3 anymore, and it's because no one trusts the journalists anymore.
And honestly, now this could come back to bite me in the butt. I may wish I'd never said this was a potentially good thing.
Politics away, then.
But this also makes it so there isn't a yearly need to push out something for the year.
There's one less deadline.
Yes.
Yeah, in an era when people seem to be having trouble finishing their games.
Well, I mean, you look at what, like, the core problems with Anthem were deeper than E3. However, what drove Anthem to become the mess it was based around tech demos. Now, that's not the same thing. It's not the same thing, because it wasn't, we need to produce something for E3, and they produced a thing, and then they ended up shackled to that engine. No, this was a different situation where they produced a particular tech demo for a particular executive who said, no, rebuild the game around this. But the phenomenon is almost certainly true that people's development gets distorted by funneling resources into developing E3 tech demo.
That said, you will still see the kind of the mid-year announcement scene. It's priming the pump for end-of-year sales.
I think that's true, but I think it will become more smeared out as people try and jockey for position. Some people will have the weight to throw around to be in a prime position. Other people will want to try and steer clear of being at ground zero when somebody else is making an announcement. And now that there's no event that they've all got to pile in the same room for, I think that we're going to see these types of announcements will spread out more and more as people jockey for a more commercially advantageous position to talk when nobody else is talking.
Yeah, so it'll become a month of announcements rather than 3 days.
It could even just be it becomes the summer season is the time you make your announcements. Like, and throughout the whole season, we get on and off announcements of what's going on with what companies.
Again, you're going to be really making, and he very well bring everything back into the line again.
Well, yeah. I don't know that he can. Because I don't think that the model is going to be supported, because too many of the big companies have realized the power that they have when they're absolutely in control of their own message and are not beholden to anybody. Like, I think that Keighley thinks he can do this because he's a boomer, so to speak. Though. Yeah, he's going to try, and he might be able to get some people in, and he may even be able to provide a vehicle for smaller companies who wouldn't normally be able to draw attention, because that used to be the whole industry, right? That's why E3 was a thing, because there was no player large enough that with their name alone could pull everybody's eyes. Back before everybody was on YouTube all the time, everybody was on social media, you needed to have a big event to cluster things in one place so people had a place that they knew that they could go and look and get this information. There are still lots of little companies who can't get that much pull, and you can tell that there's still a need for an umbrella, because that's how, like, a lot of companies operate. Like, there are lots of people under Devolver's publishing, right?
Yeah.
And they are never going to be able to get any attention on their own. But there's lots of little individuals who develop weird crap, and there needs to be some umbrella for them to gather under. If they are not already bought up by one of the big indie incubator projects being run by the likes of Microsoft or Sony, there's still going to be, the oddballs will need to be grouped together. And Like, would anybody really know who Joseph was without Keeley?
Nope, probably not.
Yeah, he would just be some random drunk guy who made a scene on stage. But, you know, he was given a platform by Keeley, and now everybody knows that guy.
That's actually the point. Now where are people going to show up drunk in public eye?
Oh, they'll find a way.
Yeah. Yeah, farewell E3. Not be more.
Yeah.
Well, it's not. It lived long enough to see itself become the villain.
Yeah.
The idea of E3 being a hype season where you get excited for the new stuff has been dead for a while.
Yeah, even for
we very very clearly got to the point years ago where we were like grown at C3 season again.
Yeah, it even stopped being a fun expedition, cringe years ago. Like, even though they were announcing stuff and they were just basically going through the motions, there was still companies getting through and putting on really silly and eyebrow-raising displays, like, you know, lowering a car from a ceiling for no reason.
Yeah, but I remember like around like year 3 or 4 of No Excuses, I remember sitting down late in the evening and watching all of the E3 major press conferences announcements and taking notes on the things we were going to talk about on the show for that week and so on and so forth, because they were still announcing things there and everybody was still at E3.
Yeah.
But that declined very palpably over time.
And
yeah,
stopped caring after a bit.
Yeah, I remember back. People would like get in voice chats for whatever they were back in the day and watch the pressers live.
Ventrilo.
Watch the pressers live, and they would, and that was just a thing that happened, but it died off steadily over time. And I wonder how much of that is E3's fault and how much of that is the current games industry's fault, because the games they've been offering just ain't been that great.
Well, the games that they've been offering by and large are not aimed at gamers.
Yeah,
like they're aimed as the intention behind them is to be a product first rather than a video game first, and you can see that sort of weird deracinated gameplay has become a thing. If you look at the way, like, the sort of the grey paste that is now Assassin's Creed and Far Cry, for instance, is like grey paste lightly seasoned with woke is all that there is to it. And like, you look at like commercial misadventures on a grand scale in like Forspoken.
Yep.
It's just this is a huge mess. And why is it a huge mess? It's a huge mess because it was a product designed to meet a design spec and not a well-managed video game development project. And then you look on the other side of the ledger, you get real weirdlings that stick out, like what's that action one recently that got a lot of attention that Ari played?
Hi-Fi Rush?
Yeah, Hi-Fi Rush. That's designed first to be a game, and it's quite obvious. Like, it was designed to be fun, to make people want to play it. And people did. And you can even see that in other sort of like clumsy, inexpert attempts to do the it's a product first type of thing. Like, there was one a while back, which was a very, very generic game, but they just sort of flubbed putting a lot of the exploitative features in and made just sort of a relatively solid game that was just mediocre, but didn't bother you to buy extra crap all the time. I can't remember what it was called, but it did really well, despite being only mediocre, and everybody who played it said it was only mediocre, but that they felt comfortable playing it because it wasn't constantly trying to get them to do things and spend money.
Yes.
So there's clearly a sort of bifurcation in objectives that has taken place over the course of time, where there's a few companies who make games for people to love them, and a few people who make games to get people to buy them.
Yeah, it's just the way things have kind of gone. And unfortunately, whenever you're like sitting there going through whatever's at E3, it's just like, I can't stop yawning, man.
Yeah, that was an
It's just
appropriate
like-
response right there.
Yeah, that's about it. It's like gray paste. It's
Might be 1 or 2 games every year that kind of gets your attention, and odds are those games never actually come out.
yeah, it's like
And they're probably remakes anyway.
Yeah.
yeah, like oh this game has a ma'am as the protagonist.
Yeah, like I'm not looking forward to new games the way I used to. I'm just not really anticipating anything. Like even something kind of interesting like Wild Hearts only stirred a mild interest in me, and I still haven't really looked into it any further because I already have Monster Hunter, so I'm not urgently on the lookout for another Monster Hunter game. Though I'm interested to try one, it's just not something that I'm urgently pursuing, and
The
I'm
botched
just not.
PC port killed it for me for now.
Yeah, like the fact that I couldn't just drop it and play it at full performance the way I would expect from a console game in that context was just not good enough. Like as much as I would like to move away from console, on average, consoles still have a more workable day one experience.
Yeah, so I just found it real hard to get hyped for what the Western games industry is pumping out these days. There'll be some Japanese games that come out that I'll be interested in, but for the most part, in when it comes to Western releases and stuff they would show at E3, just like oh another of the same franchise that this company's been playing with forever. Oh look, more gray paste. Oh look, more woke. Oh look, this one is Superman. Oh look, it's actually flipping over a GameStop.
Yeah, there's just not anything that I feel is really worth looking forward to right now. Like most of the upcoming releases for the year are just kind of weird, or they're remakes of other things, or they're alternate platform releases of other things, or they're games that just straight up nobody was interested in asking for, like that Lord of the Rings Gollum one. Like, how many people were saying like that they desperately wanted a Gollum game? Like, I'm kind of looking forward to FF16, but only because of Yoshi P.
Yeah.
And I'm looking forward to seeing if Fate Extra Record will ever be released. I'm sort of mildly looking forward to Exo Primal because it sounds interesting. But I mean, what else really is there? I mean, there are people who actually are holding out hope for Baldur's Gate 3 and stuff, and are actually holding out hope for Starfield. I
Baldur's
mean,
Gate 3's pedigree behind.
yeah, but I don't know. It's got a good pedigree in terms of its predecessors, but are any of those people on the development team?
Well, Larian Studios.
And even if
my biggest
even if they
concern
are,
is Watsy twiddling away in it.
yeah, that's the thing. Even if they are, the world is a different place post 2016.
Yeah. No, you should be looking at Divinity Original.
Yeah, because that's what they actually made.
Yeah, those are the precursors to
it's-
Baldur's Gate 3.
I mean, it wasn't a bad game, but it also wasn't Baldur's Gate, so sort of hard to say. I mean, what else is there really? I guess, like, are still probably somewhat looking forward to Trails into Reverie.
Yeah, but that's just a localization that'll get here eventually of a franchise that I like. Like
Yeah.
I don't have to get
But
hyped for that.
I'm really reaching here because there's just nothing interesting coming out this year.
We've already had our big release. We got expansion for coming up, and that's an expansion.
And it's also we don't have anything on it. It's just a picture.
It's just a picture.
Yeah, well, I mean, when's Silk Song coming out?
Nobody knows.
They swear. Speaking of delayed releases, though, Butcher got his Cinder Spires book done, and he's working on Dresden again.
Wait, Cinder Spires exist.
Yeah, he said. Well, he told us that he was doing the next Cinder Spires before the next Dresden, but he got book 2 of Cinder Spires out, so now he's working on Dresden again.
Something.
Well, he sent it off to his editor. So
All I remember is that book was.
I didn't finish it. Not for
range. Not bad.
Not for
just range.
yeah, Not for any particular reason that makes any sense. Just I didn't feel like going through a new series at the time I was going through it, so I dropped it and said I'd come back later.
Yeah, what else? What else is coming out this year? I suppose there's another Age of Wonders coming, isn't there?
There is Age of Wonders 4. Could be, depending on how their faction.
Yeah, it's they really. I feel like Age of Wonders games have been like over blessed and fortunately lucking into a sweet spot rather than it doesn't necessarily feel like it's designed. It feels like it was very fortunate.
Yeah. And it will continue to do so provided Might and Magic doesn't head out of their up.
I think that Might and Magic is basically dead. I don't have any faith if that a good game can exist in that franchise anymore. I think that they've ruined it.
Ubisoft happened.
To bring this full circle with the rest of the news, I think this really goes to a point of why we were playing Pinecone so much and talking about that so much. That in Final Fantasy, our fallback MMO. I think it really highlights just how bad the games industry is at a state with its games. Because all we have to talk about these days is our fallback MMO, and until.
But you see, that is how everybody plays games these days. Everybody does play their fallback game all the time. Like, if you look at what powers the dynamo of the games industry, in no small part these days, it's just Fortnite. It's just an enormous tide of people who play nothing but Fortnite.
As if they actually play.
Well, but the thing is that a good game can't have lots of people play it. A game has to be bad in order to get lots of people interested. Because you can't have a game be too deep and still be accessible. It's got to be shallow. And I mean, there's still an incredible amount of exploitable depth in Fortnite. Like, some of the sort of construction strategies that people will use in that game are pretty interesting and unique to that game. Like, it's not like that game has nothing of its own. What it doesn't have is standards. So
yeah,
they have
Hero Arc across. Add that to the.
There is nobody that they won't cross over with.
Even if it doesn't make a lick of sense. At this point, it's basically a giant kitchen sink of cross.
Yeah, no, I'm still trying to think of I guess I don't know what year Fate Samurai Remnant is coming out. It's not really clear. I mean, it would be nice if it came out this year so I had something to play, but
yeah, I'm keen on Nightingale, but same reason again. Don't know when that one's going to. It's been delayed that many times. Back.
I really hope that Samurai Remnant is good because it's a Fate game made by Omega Force. Like,
it's either going to be really good or bad in a good way.
Yeah, it's usually the way, right? With Omega Force, it's usually good or bad in a good way.
Yeah, they've had a few misses, like Dynasty Warriors.
I think they learned their lesson though, because they just kept releasing the other types of Dynasty Warriors after that.
I haven't looked at Nine Empires yet. I don't hope they've actually. Although the Empires model actually probably would open itself.
Yeah, so because it's supposed to happen on a broader kind of scale, really.
Yeah,
but
the battles.
Yeah, we're approaching 4 hours, by the way.
Are we? Oh,
wow. Okay, let's get out of here then.
Do you think Grand Blue Fantasy will come out?
No.
The Relink game? No, because they'll show a little bit of footage every year and have done for a very long time.
Oh, the RPG one.
Yeah.
Or the action RPG one. Yeah.
No. It's not coming out ever.
I'm not sure what the deal is with that one.
They've got so much money that I wonder if it's going to be like Duke Nukem Forever. Like, they can afford to keep the development project going, so they'll just keep trying to develop the perfect action RPG, and they'll end up never coming out.
Well, we saw, Side Games has so much money that they can just give to anybody to make a thing. Like, the Pinecone animation had no right to be that well animated.
So ridiculously well animated. Wow. This is a silly tie-in anime to a gacha game. Why is this actually good?
Why are they making a Gran Turismo feature film? Nobody has ever asked for that before in the
Cargo
history
Burr.
of the cars do go burr because that's what they do, but
Cargo Burr of the movie.
oh well, you can't have everything, I guess.
Unless they got Jeremy
Anyway,
Clarkson out
well-
the front, in which case I'd probably want.
I think the problem
He's
here is we
gone these
can have
days.
everything, even the stuff we don't ask for.
All right, let's wrap up then, shall we?
All right.
All right. This week was kind of dominated by Pinecone talk. If new information comes out, it'll probably be dominated again. Because I'm going to be mad at Crunchyroll for a while for this one.
Honestly, I'm expecting probably some sort of commentary role, but it's going to be more interesting. They don't.
I mean, it's possible, technically, that Sony told them to shoot Pinecone in the head, but Sony love money. So,
Love money.
As long as it wasn't going negative in dollars, Sony wouldn't care.
but Crunchyroll's such a poorly run company that it could go negative in dollars. I mean, look at their sodding High Guardian Spice project.
Yeah. You just gotta get rid of them sushi bars. I'm sorry. Can't have personal massagers for every single employee. It's
Actually,
just
that's
not a feasible
work at work.
Never mind that they're also California employees that you have to pay more because for some reason you gotta have your company there. Why
Wait,
would you
what?
put a
The guy that created Bubsy died on the 30th of March.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
man, what was with that day? The 30th of March is like a cursed day.
That is a bad day. Yeah.
The 30th to the 31st. Like, Trump got indicted, Vaul's boiler exploded, Pinecone shutting down. That day was just awful. Holy crap. Hopefully next week will be better.
Hopefully.
I want something. I don't even want good news. I would take just a beat week after this week. It has been a roller coaster of bad news all week.
This is the death of E3 is a bit of good news.
To a degree, yeah, but it's
Us,
not
it's good
something I
news.
can. Yeah, to us, it's goodish news, but it's not something I can get super excited about.
Yeah.
Like, it's happened, it's worth talking about, but I just don't have any passion for E3 because I don't have any passion for the modern games that are coming out. It's hard to care. And I feel bad saying that as somebody that does an ostensibly video game themed show. But I just don't really. Modern Western video games just don't hold any appeal to me anymore. I'll pick up the occasional one after somebody's already vetted it.
Yeah. With that bleak outlook, wrap up.
Yep. All right, folks. Email topic of the week. What do you think of E3 dying? So, there's that. And closing comments, and let's get out of here.
Something Doritos and Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I think keep an eye on the Summer Game Fest because things. I don't know
There's
if they're
free
gonna
thunder to be stolen, and he wants it.
It is definitely free thunder. Grabs. He is going to get grabby.
Yep. All right, folks. We'll see you next week. Yeah, bye. Desune.